What's up, Street Fighters? Thanks for being here. Sunday night, time for a street fight. I hope you're ready for this. It's been a while since I've done this call-in show, but I'm ready to listen to what you got to say. The number to dial is 614-412-5252. We are taking your calls. The queue is extremely full, so I'm not sure if you're going to get in, but keep trying. And you can always listen to the show while you're waiting on the line. We appreciate everybody for calling in and having a good time with us. We're going to be going here for a few hours, so get ready. Get your shit right. It's time for Street Fight. We are the #1 anarcho comedy radio show on any station across the nation. We've been doing it here in Columbus, Ohio for 8 years now. My name is Brett Payne. My co-host is Brian Quinby. We're broadcasting out of Columbus, Ohio on 92.7 or 98.3 out of the Free Press Studios here in downtown C-Bus, 614 area code, Square Pizza. We say ditched.
Amazing. Changed my life, actually, this week. That whole thing. I posted that somebody ditched me in line, and people are like, I have never used that before. So as I do, when something like this happens, I say, must be a Midwestern thing.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of Midwestern people are like, no, it's not a Midwestern thing. And I was like, okay. And then somebody looked up the etymology, and it's just a Columbus, Ohio
Only
thing.
Columbus ditches in line.
Yeah. Don't fucking ditch,
yeah,
man.
you get in trouble for fucking ditching.
Don't ditch me.
I'll yank on your hoodie if you fucking ditch.
Yeah, nobody likes a ditcher, right?
No, never.
A ditchery-do.
We are going to be doing some live performances on the West Coast at the beginning of the year, so you got to hit up streetfightradio.com. On the main page there, on the right-hand side, it's a little link that says West Coast Tour. When you click on it, it will have all the information that you tweeted us about and send messages to the page about. It's got it all right there in one place. We're going to be in Seattle, Washington on Saturday, January 5th. We're going to be in Portland, Oregon on Sunday, January 6th, Eugene, Oregon, Monday the 7th, San Francisco. Yikes. Eugene's doing pretty good.
3 shows in a row.
Yeah, it is a lot. People have already tried to send me restaurants and fun things to do, and I'm like, I'm coming in like real fast, eating the healthiest food I can find, and then going to the next place.
Yeah, Portland is like, we're not even there for 10 hours, I don't think. But I'll be back. We'll be back.
Eventually.
I mean, the thing is, like, this tour, if so far proven one thing, it's that we can come out there and do shows now.
Of course.
Like, we're not going to be afraid. Like, this was, like, pulling the trigger on this took a year.
It's a lot of money.
Because it seemed scary, but now it seems like it's worth it to go. I mean, you know, we got to make money when we do stuff.
Yeah.
And it
we
seems
can't
like
do
we
this
can,
for a loss,
or free even.
Right.
We're not even like doing. The fact is, if I can fly to fucking Portland a couple times a year and actually come home with more money than I left with, then I'm gonna probably fly to Portland a few times a year. Like, ask the people in Chicago and New York. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense.
We're like willing to do it. It was never like a thing where it was like, I don't want to get on an airplane. It was more of a like, I don't know. The numbers aren't adding up here.
Yeah, but we're doing great on ticket sales so far. Oakland, I love it. There's going to be a ton of people there. It's going to be a really good show.
I mean, that is going to be an extravaganza, I have to say.
We have some good guests in Oakland, too.
I mean, we got Q-Mars.
Right.
Coming on stage.
Q-Mars Salahe from
Delete Your Account
podcast.
We have Greg Violet from
the internet.
Twitter.
LaDeuce Violet, legendary poster LaDeuce Violet. You know, the purple mustache man.
Yeah. And we have my buddy, my co-host once a month, Brace Belden.
So, might turn into a murder mystery solving party. If you haven't heard that live show, or I'm sorry, that third show that Brian did with Brace, where they tried to figure out if somebody he knew was a murderer.
Sort of a little bit more nervous about it becoming a nude show, because somehow he went from saying he never gets naked to then recording the show fully naked. So I'm not really sure what we're getting with him.
Okay.
He's like performing. The reason I love performing with Brett is because I know what I'm getting. I think performing with Brace, I don't know that we're going to know exactly what we're getting. But it's exciting. It's really fun, and it's fun to have. It's fun to have those. It's fun to have him around. He's a fun guy, and people really like the live show, so.
And it's not, I mean, it's good to give them all different flavors. I mean, I don't want to do the same thing every single time.
No, all the shows are going to be fairly different. I mean, if we can find people in different cities to do stuff
That
with
helps.
us, we're definitely going to do that. And the shows, I think the theme is going to be where I'm calling it we're going to talk about crime and we're going to talk about punishments. And that's what we're going to talk about on the West Coast.
Solve those problems on the West Coast.
Going to get whoopings. Maybe we'll hand out whoopings to the
Someone you
audience.
can get whooped at the end if you want.
The merch table. Me and Brett will be at the merch table after every show handing out whoopings.
We'll have a belt right there.
Bring your boss, bring your kids. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what. So earlier this week, the poster for Amiri King, his latest show came out, and it's called the Don't Go to Jail Tour. Which, good name. If it was me and you,
Yeah.
I would be like, great name. Flyer is bad though. Like if it was me and you, the flyer would match the name. The flyer and the aesthetic would look good with the name, but theirs is just as cheap as possible. But like I was like theorizing that like his finale of his bit is probably getting his son on the phone and grounding him in front of the audience.
That's why he's the king.
Yeah. Just fucking like picks out one of the servers that's a millennial and says, "This is you're serving food. This is a stepping stone job. God damn it!"
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
Call the police on somebody from the stage. Hold on, guys. I'm calling the police on my ex-wife's boyfriend. The audience is just fucking losing it because that's what they love. They love punishment. They love to
Yeah.
hear somebody getting punished.
They want to know that someone was treated terribly.
So
That's funny.
I was back last week and kind of just talked about what we'd been doing over the few weeks. How was your 4 weeks without a call-in show, Brett Payne?
I really liked it. I'm already.
Much like a lot of people who take vacations, you enjoyed it.
Yeah, what is the sound going? Is that us? It looks like.
There we go. We're back.
What was that?
I have no
the
idea.
mic's fucking up now?
I don't know, man. That Blue Yeti brand, I guess.
Trash.
If this one's going out, then we know it wasn't just me being horrible to a microphone.
Yeah,
But
don't
we're
trust
back.
the Yeti brand of microphones.
I know. I
Fuck
just
'em.
tapped it and it worked. It just fixed it
It's
when
like
I
old
tapped
TV.
it.
You used to have to beat the shit out of it to get the picture back.
Yeah,
my 4 weeks off. Yes, I don't like to work. I'm allowed to say that, okay? I do a job. I'm allowed to complain about it, even if I'm also a small business tyrant. And yeah, I think we're going to try to move the shows a little bit earlier.
9. We want to go on at 9. And I'm sorry to you people on the West Coast who've grown accustomed to having something that happens in your time zone. But we don't live in your time zone. So we're
Right.
going to try and move this thing to 9. And we're going to try to... we're still going to take calls. And we're probably going to take more calls. We're probably going to be able to get our friends on the air. Like, people don't know this, but early in the thing, we would have people call in that, like, were buddies and stuff. But it's very hard to get them to stay up till midnight.
Right.
To call into the show, you know?
Yeah, and I've been getting a ton of stuff done. I've been waking up so fucking early. This whole tour got booked because I've been waking up early.
He's rising and grinding.
I am rising and grinding.
getting that
True.
bread.
Yeah, and it's working.
I've been rising and grinding too, like at 1, and then I grind out a podcast at like 11:30 at night. But it still works. It's like we're both grinding. Just
Yeah.
I don't rise. I've been leaving the windows open all weekend in the house, and then waking up and not wanting to get out of bed because it's too cold.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Thankfully they put in that programmable thermostat, so I have it set on like torch mode, like first thing in the morning.
Oh, like you can lay down in your bed and tell it, like, check it out. I need you to turn up to 70.
Yeah, I just schedule it.
I should do that.
Yeah, I schedule it.
I wish I could do that. Mine's old. I have to get up out of bed and run downstairs and change it. I went running downstairs the other day, and my wife had somebody over, and she's like, don't come downstairs without your shirt on. And I was like, when have I ever done that? Like, not a once. I don't walk around without a shirt on anywhere. Brett has lived with me for weeks at a time and never seen me walking around fat, like just bulging around all over the place. The shirt stays on, man.
Yeah, I know you as a shirt guy.
I mean, shirt.
never seen you-
You did I did on your birthday when we went to Great Wolf Lodge take my shirt off because I will do it for water slides.
Yeah, and you're such a shamer, though, dude. When we went to the Buckhorn Lake, we went to the state park for the Trillbilly show, which I realized we never even talked about that on the fucking air at all. We just
Because we were gone.
Yeah.
We weren't here for this show.
But I was trying to do a workout, and he was just sitting there the whole time and goes, sounds like someone's having sex over there. I was like, I'm just trying to grunt it out right now, okay?
I'm sorry. I don't mean to be like a
stretching out my
about
lumbar
it.
spine, doing some cat cow.
Those sound like
Yeah.
yeah. They're pooping. I mean, poop and sex are roughly the same thing. Some people do them at the same time,
That's
like
true.
as a thing. They're into it.
Yep.
So
yeah, very popular.
yeah, it's been like this is our last week before Christmas time.
I know.
Next
How's
week
your Christmas been?
Next,
It's been better. Well, you got money.
not right now. I don't, but I did have money to buy the stuff, so it doesn't
Right.
matter.
Right.
Like, I'm not freaking out this year. I guess is
Yeah, it's better not to be in the negative.
Yeah. I'm just not freaking out this year. I have roughly the same amount of money I did last year, except for the fact that I've spent a lot on presents and stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, I still am broke as shit because I had to buy presents, but the presents aren't the thing that killed me. It was my irresponsible spending that killed me.
Okay.
You know?
Wow, you're really growing this year.
Yeah. I mean, I spent too much on everything. Like, for Christmas, I just was like,
What's the only time we get held back for so long. All year long, you're just like, nope, there's not enough money for that. Nope, there's not enough money for that. One of our good friends that are like the best cheapskates ever, they actually bought a new chair for their front room, which is like, you're buying all of this other presents, then you're like, oh, this chair is really nice too. We might as well get a present for us, you know?
You can't
They also
do present.
said they claim they don't buy presents for each other, but
I
buy a
tried
damn
to do
chair.
a present for us TV, but
Oh, really?
we
You tried to
got-
call that the present?
I tried, but it didn't work out. We didn't buy it.
What?
We just don't have the TV
Oh, okay.
money, you know? It's
Okay.
like, when the money comes in next month, I'm going to spend a good, healthy amount of it on marijuana on the West Coast.
Okay.
So, we're just going to hold on to that. We don't need a TV. I mean, how bad do you really need a TV?
Not at all, dude.
I
It's
know.
the same pictures. No matter how clear it is, it's all the same horseshit.
Oh, I don't watch TV anyway, really, in that room. I watch it up
Oh.
in my room,
I was gonna
laying
say,
in
you
bed
do
like
it-
a fella.
You get a lot of TV in.
Yeah. When it doesn't matter. I only watch TV when it doesn't
You don't
matter.
count wrestling as TV, though.
I don't
either.
watch a lot of wrestling, though. I don't watch
Okay.
fucking anything right now.
Oh.
I basically, like, lay in bed and flip through Netflix to see if there's a movie, and then, like, tap my wife every 15 minutes and say, you don't believe there's no movies on Netflix. I mean, it's like this capitalism and everything's available. I can't have anything I want. It's fucking bullshit the way they set this thing up. I do try to watch a lot, but I've been watching wrestling. I haven't been watching, I've been watching Halt and Catch Fire at night, real late at night. It's a TV show, but I'm not really watching a lot of wrestling right now. It's a bummer. There's no time for it. You can't. It's like harder and harder now that I've taken time off from watching it to talk my wife into watching it when I want to watch it. You know,
Right.
So it's like, no, you don't really care that much, do you? And I'm like, oh, I don't kind of care a little bit. I actually kind of want to see it, but I've been good about it. I'm gonna get back in on January 4th for Wrestle Kingdom. I'm gonna watch Wrestle Kingdom, stay up all night, watch that, and then sleep on the airplane
Smart
to
idea.
Seattle.
Smart idea.
Genius. That's a brain I got in my head, and I'll probably be at the airport like 4 hours early because I'm afraid of missing a plane because I've done that once.
Yeah. Only person I know.
Oh, man, as soon as I said I missed a flight, people were like, dude, I've missed a flight too. And I felt like okay about
Oh,
it. It was
good.
so stupid though, man. You know why it sucked? Because I had to fly to New York before I flew to Dallas. So it was like go north and then down, and it was like, oh god, what a dumb mistake.
You don't want to
I
be there
made.
on time because of that?
No, I do want to be there on time. I don't want to fly. I want to fly just to Seattle. I'm going to be
Right.
there. But the last time we got there early, they were like, get the fuck out of line.
Yeah.
We got yelled at by the people at the gate. So I feel like either that's the mic or that's the headphones. I can't figure out if it's the headphones.
the mic,
But if I
'cause I'm watching
slap
the-
the mic, it works.
Yeah, I saw it disappear.
All right, let's get these people on the air, and we're gonna send this mic back, I guess. Thank you, Yeti, for having another
Piece of shit product.
Yeah, Yeti. That's 2 Yetis we've went through. That's great.
Yeah, I just read. It must have been a sponsored fucking article that I read about them that said they were so great.
Two
Thank you,
of them.
Thank you for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to? Please God work.
Hey, is this me?
This is you. What's up? Who's this?
Oh, hey, what's going on, guys? Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So, long-time listener, first-time caller. I actually had, like, a couple work stories for you guys. Kind of been real bullshit lately, honestly.
Having a rough
so
run of it, huh? At work?
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's hear it.
So, to kind of give you guys, like a little background on what I do, I like, remove junk from people's homes.
Ooh.
Okay.
So, like,
Always thought I could do that. That was one that I thought I could do.
Yeah, it's pretty cool at times. Pretty much the whole premise of it is like, hey, if you got some junk to remove, you call the number, we schedule you for an appointment, come out there, take a look at what you got, and give you a quote. And it's pretty much how we charge for the most part is like volume based, so how much space you take up in the truck.
Can I ask
and,
you?
You got what?
Can I ask you if you're one of the college hunks moving junk, or are you with a different company?
Different companies. We actually like see the college hunk guys around a bit, and there's like other junk removal companies. And like anytime we see them, it's like a quick wave, like, hey, what's up? And every time we see the college hunk guys, they flip us off. So they're kind of like known as the assholes around the area.
They're so cool.
I know. I'm gonna become a college hunk.
I want to be one now.
Bullying all the other junk movers.
Do they drive with their shirts off?
They should, if they're hunks. They should have to wear cowboy boots.
Tight Wrangler jeans and cowboy boots.
No hurt.
But yeah, it's pretty much like, you got a couch, a chair, whatever. We'll give you the quote, and if you're good with it, we take it off. So for the most part, I'm actually one of the drivers, so I'm like in charge of the pricing, and I've kind of figured out a good system to where it's like, if I have a customer that's, I could tell it's like working class, or maybe, they don't have much money, I always give them like face value or try to throw a coupon on, try to help them out, that type of thing. But anytime I have a customer that's like, I could tell has quite a bit of money, I kind of overcharge them, because most of the time anyways, they don't even look at us as people. They look at us as like the help.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And another thing that like kind of factors that in is how much money we make that day determines how much we get paid, because we only get paid like $10 an hour.
Okay.
So yeah, we got to be able to make enough to live. But going off all of that, I actually had a customer.
You make a flat $10 an hour regardless of what they charge, or how does it adjust based upon how much you charge?
Okay, so it's we get the $10 an hour, and then the goal is we have to make at least $1,000, and if we make $1,000, we get this thing called profit share, and you got to do this whole like equation, and they base how much you make versus like how much you spent on dumping and your wage hours, and that gives you a bonus. Like on a really good day, to where you're like busy breaking your back and everything, you'll get like an extra $150 or something like that.
So that's
so you have the potential of making like $20+ an hour.
That's okay. That's
especially
cool.
if you get like especially if you get like tips from the customers themselves.
How often do you get tips?
A lot of the time. Oh man, it really depends. Like just you got to kind of build the rapport with the customer and joke around with them and everything, and then they'll be like, "Oh, here's $20." I've found that a lot of the times it's always the rich people that don't tip. I've actually had at some point in time, like I've had rich customers who literally just drop $1,000 right then and there to get rid of the junk, and then I go through the whole. We use the Square app and everything for credit card payment, so I point out, I'm like, hey, here's your total at the top. Here's the optional tip bar, but no obligation. And I've actually had people laugh at me when they see that.
Whoa.
And I'm kind of like, man, I just like broke my back for the past 2 hours because you can't lift the couch. And because that's the thing. It's sometimes we have people who, they bring stuff to the curb, we pick it up, But then a lot of the times we have like, hey, I've got a couch in the basement, you know, a refrigerator on the main floor, some trunks up in the attic, and we go and get them. So pretty much you point your finger, tell us what to take, and we'll do it. So we're sweating and everything, and then they're like, oh yeah, we're not going to give you $10 to get some water or something.
Because they've never done anything in their life like that, right? Working class people tip because we've all been in a situation where a tip would help. Whereas, like, rich people who have never done a service job are just like, that's his job. He carries the stuff. He's making... And they probably do that thing where they're like, oh, he's making more than a tipped wage. You know, he's making more than the tipped minimum wage. Mm-hmm. So, and I know for a fact, even, like, for somebody like me, like, I thought y'all were getting paid a lot more because you're just doing a brute force job. It always seems like... it never lines up that way, but I think even in my mind, I think it, like, where it's like, if you're doing a job where you have to carry heavy things up and down steps, it feels like there should be no way they can't pay you $15 an hour, you know? Like,
mm-hmm. Sure. And see, I thought the same thing before I even started the job, and I even had customers at the time to where they see a tip bar and they're like, oh, we can tip you guys? And I'm like, you know, I'm just honest with them. I was like, yeah, we only get paid $10 an hour, so like anything helps.
Yeah, you should.
Which is crazy. So like getting to the one customer story I had, it was about a month ago or so. You know, get the call out, go there, and this guy, I guess he's been doing work on his house or whatever. He had a bunch of carpet, like carpet padding, and a bunch of hardwood floor. So for the most part, we do charge on volume, but we have this other thing called bed load, and bed load is more so for like things that are smaller but heavier, like concrete, brick, stuff like that, to kind of compensate for our dumps, because with that profit share, if we don't, like if we spend a ton of money on dumps, it only affects the people working. Like it doesn't affect the company. We just get less money at the end of the day.
That sucks. They should be
so that. I told this guy, I was like, hey, you know, you got a little bit of hardwood floor here, so I'll have to do bed load, because I was always taught, since I've been at the company for like 8 months, I was always taught, hey, charge bed load for this. And I told the guy, he was easily like upper class, and I told him, I was like, hey, if we do volume for all your carpet and everything and bed load for your hardwood, it's going to be around $700. But if I just do bed load only, I can get it down to $600. Thought I was cutting him the deal. Figured it'd be pretty easy. Everything is out in the garage. And he's like, yeah. Okay, let's do that. So we spend like an hour out in the rain carrying all this stuff and everything, completely filling up the truck. Sign off on it. You know, he gives us the payment. Everything's all good. And then like a couple days later, I check my stats, because we have this little app that basically tells you like what your percentages are for like, you know, average job size, you know, on-site conversion, all this and everything. Because we do monthly contests to get like little reward points to redeem for like gift cards.
Points.
So fucking silly, dude.
Yeah.
Handing out reward points.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Instead
hate
of just
reward
giving us
points.
money to live.
Can I just
that to be tied to how I get paid?
Can I just say that reward points are the worst thing to get? Like when you like sign up for like a card at a grocery store, their loyalty card, and they're like, so what kind of discounts do they get? And you're like, well, it's not like really discounts. You get reward points, and I'm like, oh fuck those points. That's why I never joined the Speedy Rewards Club. Points. Yeah. I hate points. Fuck points.
Exactly, and like whenever they set that up a couple months ago, like the rewards that we could get with the points is like, oh, you could get a hat with the logo on it or a shirt or something. And everybody was like, I don't want to buy a work shirt, so no one was doing anything with them. They're like, all right, we'll give you gift cards to like the local gas station or whatever.
Right, so that's scrap.
But whenever I checked out my stats, I saw that I had a complaint on there, and I don't ever get complaints because, you know, I try to do a good job for everything. And I went to my boss, and I was like, hey, man, can you check this out? What's up with this complaint? And he was like, yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. He grabbed one of my other managers, and we went to his office, and he closed the door. And I didn't realize I was getting set up for a write-up.
Oh, fuck.
Until he started talking. Yeah. So apparently what had happened was the guy that we did the job for, his wife was originally the one who booked the job. And she came outside for like a total of 5 minutes, like threw a cardboard box in the garage and then left. Well, she apparently called in and complained about me and said that I basically price gouged her because we originally came to the job with like a sixth of the truck full of stuff. So we had a ton of space, but she called the call center and said, like, they had half a truck's worth of stuff on here. You guys only told me about a full truck is this much, and, you know, you're just making up prices to get more money in your pocket. And before my managers even talked to me, they were like, oh, she must be right. He must have totally lied about everything and had a write-up ready for me. So I talked to him, and I was like, no, like, this, here's the whole situation, and, like, she's completely lying. And they ended up, like, refunding her well over $300, which that directly affects the money that goes onto my paycheck. So I'm losing money on this.
And your reward
I
points.
get a complaint.
Your precious reward points.
Yeah, exactly. So what really ticked me off at that situation, they didn't write me up because they understood what, you know, I was trying to convey to them. But I think what ticked me off more than anything is the fact that they had a write-up ready for me before even speaking to me, and were willing to throw me under the bus. And it's that whole, like, the customer's always right thing, which, especially in this industry, is complete BS.
And then, you know,
because,
when a psycho like that is just completely using that against everybody else. That's just somebody who is a dictator and makes her husband go out there and do all the dirty work, but she sits inside and comes up with scams and nasty fucking situations to blame other people are doing on her, you know?
Yeah, and I've had quite a few customers like that, and it's always just a way for them to save money, which, you know, most of the time, I have no problem going to a customer and be like, hey, I know our service is a little expensive, blah, blah, blah. Let me cut you a deal, because we can kind of haggle with them a little bit.
Sure.
If it's you know, if they have quite a bit of stuff, but it's all on the curb in front of their house, all we have to do is park the truck next to it and just lift it and throw it like 2 feet, and then and I'll even knock the price half off because it's less work for me, so no skin off my back.
Right.
But I've had that happen on top of, I actually posted in the group on Facebook, because I've been in there for a couple months, about how they decided this year that they're not going to do bonuses, and they're going to do a pancake breakfast.
Oh my God, the cheapest food. Pancakes are like 79 cents a box.
Pancake breakfast.
Exactly. So, and they were saying, they're like, oh, you know, if you got the day off, you still come in. If you worked that day, you know, you're obligated to come in. So at first I was going to see if, man, like, I don't want to go to this. I don't care. I could get gas station food for the same price, and I can sleep in for an extra 4 hours.
Right.
But they're like, no, we want you guys here for 7:30, blah, 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 hang out and everything, and then we'll get started at 11. Well, we go there, you know, eat, and then sit around for the next 2 hours, and it's like 9 o'clock, and they're like, okay, well, we should just get started. And we're all kind of like, hey, didn't you say 11? What? It's like, oh, well, I mean, you guys are all here. You might as well just get started, get to work, you know? So
they couldn't bear to see all those work. They couldn't bear to see all their employees just sitting there enjoying themselves. Like, why aren't they working?
Yeah, exactly. And especially like this time of year, you know, with Christmas coming up and all the holidays for gift giving, no one is, you know, calling us and saying like, yeah, I've got an extra $500 to pull all this stuff out of my house. So we're barely scraping by. Like in the summer, on average, I would knock out, I'd make like $2 or $3 grand a day. But now I'm lucky enough to get 1,000, which means less on my paycheck and less on everything else. And the only people who are losing out on this are the actual workers, because especially what bothered me about the pancake breakfast is for the past 6 months, we've been breaking records every month. Like, they're like, oh, man, this month you guys made us $350,000. I'm like, all right, that's awesome, but I'm not getting paid enough to, you know, pay my rent. What's going on here? Why are we suffering, but you, like, I see the boss, like, coming in, and he's parking his boat inside our garage bay.
No.
So that way, you know, it's out of the way for him. Yeah. Which, that's another thing, but talking about, like, the dumps, we try to, like, recycle. Like, we go ahead and we try to donate furniture and everything that's in good condition to, like, Goodwills and whatnot. And if we have any metal, we try to recycle that, so it's less dumps that we have to spend, which is more money for us. And
Right.
the scrap money that we make, I've had times to where I've literally had a ton of metal, got $150 for it. And then we put that into our billfold at the end of the day, and that doesn't go into our paychecks. We never see that scrap money again. So we saved money from dumping and giving the company more money, and we have no idea where it's going. So I've come up with a plan, and I've gotten a couple of the other drivers to do it as well. If we go to a scrapyard and let's say we've got like 70 or 80% of metal on the truck, I tell them, I talk to the people at the scrapyard, and I'm like, hey, I got all this metal on here, but I got a little bit of junk as well. If you let me dump all of this, you guys can just keep the money. And they take the deal all the time because that's, more money for them, and we get a free dump out of it because we've all kind of decided, like, we don't see that money, so who cares?
Yeah, and you can make money by saving dump money versus getting and making anything for them in scrap. Damn, that's a good idea. I'm glad
exactly.
someone like you is doing the numbers. Because there's probably a lot of people out there that would just put up with that regular ass bullshit.
Oh, yeah. I've been for months, like, especially when we have new guys coming out. So when you start out as a navigator, because each crew has 2 guys for the most part, unless it's a big job. Like, then we'll have, like, a 3-man crew. And the navigators, pretty much, their job is self-explanatory. They navigate the drivers. They take care of paperwork. And I've been telling them basically all my tricks. I was like, hey, working class people, they're cool. Give them a good deal. Upper class people, they don't care about you. Take all the money you can get. Even doing like little things to kind of, like the little trick with the Square app, I point out the tip bar because if you point out the tip bar and they know it's there, they feel a little more obligated to tip.
Right.
And that also brings up
I mean, the tip bar makes me
like
tip every time. Every time I see the tip bar, I'm like, well, 15%, I guess, for this nothing that I'm doing. Like when you buy something from somebody and it's like in the drive-through.
Yeah.
And they hand it to you and it's got a tip bar. I'm like, all right, I mean, really, you just handed this out the window, and you are a working person, though? 15%.
Right.
I don't mean to be mean.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, if you're carrying my shit out of my house, I mean, I probably got tipped 5 or 6. Basically at Chuck E. Cheese, I got tipped probably every 4 to 5 parties, and it was never like a person I would have thought was rich, and they would usually give me like $4.
Yeah.
Because it's not, but it's like, I just ran your kid's whole fucking party, man.
Yeah, make sure they had a good time.
But yeah, people are tipping. I think people are tipping more now than they ever have before, though, at the very least. You don't think so? Brett's giving me a look like I don't think so.
I have found, at least in this job, because I've worked in other, I've worked at restaurants, I've worked at like clothing retailers, so all my life has pretty much been like customer service and whatnot. And I found that the people who tip the most have been the working class people, or if they do come from money, it's younger people. Like, so I'm out in St. Louis, and we actually have some of the St. Louis Blues hockey players who call in and schedule with us. So I've actually been to a couple of their houses, and every single time those guys tip, which they're super nice. It's always
they have to
like,
though.
Older.
I gotta say that the famous ones have to, like the Blues have to, because you will, and you know this, and I did this too. If a famous person comes rolling through my place and doesn't tip, I'm putting a word out to everybody I know.
Yeah, exactly.
If I come somewhere and don't tip you, then feel free to like just let every single person in the world know I didn't tip you.
Yeah, I don't think I've had a single problem with like younger rich people. It's always the older ones. Like one over the summer in particular, we went to her apartment and it is like in Baldwin. And Baldwin in St. Louis is like a really like upper class area. Like we're talking $500,000 houses, and everyone's got like a Tesla or some $100,000 car. But we go to her place, remove a little bit of stuff. She's only got like a quarter, which is about $248 with us.
about 50
And-
bucks. What? How
and
much
she
you
brings-
charging for a quarter?
Yeah, a quarter of the truck is $248.
Oh.
And with our prices as well, it includes like taxes, the labor, and everything in the price. So it's just a flat rate. But then after we get that done, she's like, "Hey, I'm actually moving like 2 places over. Can you help me move this shelf over?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." We go and move that over, and then we get over there. She's like, "Oh, I actually have more stuff in here. Can you get that?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure, we'll get that." And then we get that done, and she's like, "Oh, and I have boxes of books up on my 5th floor. Can you get that?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And the way she made it seem was, I have 1 box of books. I'm going to go grab it and bring it down.
Yeah.
So she goes inside. The doors are completely closed, and you need like a key card to get in. So we're out there waiting for 10 minutes. And then she comes back out with just this mean, stank look on her face. And she starts yelling at me and saying, like, "Where are you guys? Why did you come and get this?" And I was like, "Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you were going to, bring the books down." She's like, "Why would I do that?" So at that point, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'll go up and grab the books. And at the time, we had a storm, so the power was knocked out. So no elevator access on the 5th floor, 5 flights of steps. And we get up there, and there's 15 boxes of completely full books. And she's like, "Yeah, I want you guys to get all this." So we get it all done, and at this point, we've been there for like 2 hours. And a standard job for us takes like 30 minutes. So we're wasting all this time, and we get maybe half a truck, which for us is $378. And I told my navigator, I was like, "Charge her this," and it basically tacked like $200 extra on. I was like, she didn't look in the back of the truck. She doesn't know what's going on, and she was an asshole to us the entire time. She didn't even look at us like we were people. And I know she's not going to tip, which she didn't. So
I think it has
So
more
at
to do
that
with.
point-
I think it really has more to do if you just anybody who's
What's up?
worked for a living is gonna tip, and anybody who hasn't isn't gonna tip because that
They don't know. They really
Yeah,
don't know
they have-
what you're going home to when you make $10 an hour.
Yeah, they have no idea. And if you never had to carry 15 boxes of books down 5 flights of steps, then you just think like I'm sure that lady's just thinking, well, they're always carrying stuff up and down steps. What's 15 boxes of books? You know? And you're like, oh, it sucks.
And we get stuff like that. Like, our pretty standard stuff is just furniture, like couches and everything. But every once in a while, we get like really heavy items. Like one of the worst things for us is those fireproof file cabinets.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you've ever seen those. They're just file cabinets filled with concrete.
Yeah.
And there was one point to where the heaviest one I ever had was easily 700 pounds. We had 3 guys there, and we couldn't get it at all. We spent like half an hour hitting it with sledgehammers to try and break some stuff apart. And we just finally told them, like, "Hey, we can't get it." And they looked at us like, you can't do your job. And it's like, man, my body, first off, I'm not even the biggest dude. Like, I'm like a $160 soaking wet. Like,
Yeah.
like
I'm not gonna
I'm
rip
not
a
the
safe out of
strongest
the
guy
wall.
here, so I'm not going to be able to. Yeah, I'm not going to lift this above my shoulder, one arm and get it out, no problem. Like, you got to realize we're not machines, we're people, and we're trying to help you out and everything, but we got limitations.
Yeah, this is a pretty specialized thing. Well, thanks for calling in. I appreciate the call. We got other people that want to get in here. What was your name again?
No problem. My name's Nick.
All right, Nick. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
You guys have a good one.
Yeah, you too. All right. That was a good call. Brian went to go use the lavatory, so I'm here. I'm going to pick up the next call. I just can't imagine not tipping somebody that does all that fucking work. Like, just something. Even just like a 6-pack of beer. Or non-alcoholic spirits. Thank you for calling Street.
alcoholic.
Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who we talking about? Who we talking to?
Hey guys, it's Caleb, the Raptor guy.
What's up, the
Oh, hey,
Rafter?
buddy, how's it going?
I called him the Rafter guy, like he's Sting. Up in the rafters, good. Wrestling fans are out there like, God damn, this guy's funny. What's up, Caleb? How are you tonight?
Oh, I'm pretty good. I am just kind of fucking off, and the basement building a bunch of birdhouses because I need something to do.
Everything Caleb does is bird related.
Yeah, you gotta make sure there's things.
Yeah,
are-
it pretty much
okay.
is. Like, you gotta. I feel like I'm really getting good at like harnessing my like obsessiveness,
That's
and
good.
that involves taking pictures of birds, whatever. Because I don't know, I just think they're pretty cool.
No,
he
it's
doesn't.
great.
He doesn't cuss. He just flips the bird, Brett. Birds.
Yeah, birds. That's the word, right?
Birds. Only eats
Bird,
Fruit Loops
bird.
because that's got a bird on the front of the cover.
No,
Yeah,
that's a
it's
great.
got Toucan Sam.
It's a great way to spend your time. I mean, you help them out, you study them, make sure people don't fuck with them too much. There's a lot of attention that birds need.
Yeah, I'd say right. Because one cool thing that's kind of bird related that happened this week was the Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke resigned, and I thought that was pretty cool because he was a guy who was just up to no good, and who knows, he'll probably get replaced by. So everybody always laughed because like Scott Pruitt had like the jack off booth or whatever. Like that was a really good, funny running joke that the Sams on District Sentinel had going.
Uh-huh.
And I imagine that like Ryan. So I bring up Scott Pruitt because Scott Pruitt, he's visibly obtuse. He's doing weird stuff, like having a soundproof booth built like behind his office, and this Zinke guy is doing the same kind of shit. He's having flights, like he's having like really expensive, like first class flights, like that are only like 40 minutes long, going like up and down the coast of California. And then when like people told him that you can't do that with like government money, he just shrugged his shoulders and was like, I don't know. And he did that for a while, and now he's out. And Scott Pruitt got replaced. Crap, I don't even know the guy's name, but I know that his replacement is still like adamant about making sure that the goddamn border wall that's already there, might I add, the border wall that's already there gets finished. And that's something that I have had luck talking to the libs about, in terms of like, well, you understand that there's a lot of sensitive species down there and the border wall is bad and all that.
Right.
But you're never going to get anything out of the conservatives telling them about. They hate sensitive species. Conservatives hate nothing more than endangered species. They're like, why aren't they dead already?
You're
basically.
right.
Like, because how many times have you heard?
Right.
How many times have you like listened to some? Like, Brett, you used to listen to Rush Limbaugh growing up sometimes. He was always mad about some, like, oh, we can't build a power plant because there's a titmouse out there in the plains that some environmentalist is really into. And it's like, God, well, I mean, let's not kill off a species.
Yeah.
Like, can we
Be
not
careful
do
about
that?
that.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's always, animals are always such a convenient scapegoat for like the greed of the people who own the stuff, the people who own the timber mills, who own the coal mines, who own the who own the seed companies, that kind of stuff. And they're always, like you just said, Brian, they're always propping up animals. It's like, well, animals are the reason that timber jobs left the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Those goddamn spotted owls just can't. They get all worked up
hate
in
'em.
fuss, and it's like, oh, but
And that's why.
the jobs left.
Yeah, the people on
like
those
the
jobs.
jobs left because
Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, go on, Brett. Oh, okay. The jobs left because the cost got driven down because we figured out that we can just bring in all of our timber for our cheap ass IKEA furniture from like China and all that other stuff.
Wait, whoa.
International trade.
Wait, we're bringing what? Are we not? Look, I don't want to cut down trees, but are we just having them cut down trees in other parts of the world and sending them here instead of cutting ours down? That is, I did not know that. We're the worst fucking people. Like, we need to keep our majestic forests intact in America, but we still need all this wood. So let's go knock down some more majestic forests somewhere else.
Yeah, and the real fucked up thing is that the government is actually covering up the existence of Bigfoot, because if people found out there was a Bigfoot, then there would be no industry could like go in there and capitalize off of those natural resources anymore.
That's actually true. We've theorized this in the past, but I think what happens is logging companies have found Bigfoot and then just killed them and dumped them in a ditch. It was like, if they found out there was Bigfoot, they wouldn't let us log this forest anymore. So there's just ditches full of Bigfoots all over the forest.
Yeah, there's Bigfoot graves out in the hills.
But I mean, it is crazy because like that is a thing that like shows how ugly a lot of the conservative people are, because like I know a dude, it used to be that if you were like a hunter or if you were like something like that, you would be a conservationist. That used to like be a thing, you know. I know
Teddy Roosevelt, you're upright. Yeah.
Well, my father-in-law was a member of both the NRA and the Sierra Club when I first started dating my wife. And I don't know what the Sierra Club's up to, but I do know that like it sends a message. Like he thought he was taking care of the forest and guns, you know.
Right.
But it seems like now that whole vibe has just gone out the window, where it's just like, well, I like to have a bunch of guns, and I also like to eat out of only styrofoam and roll coal too. Like I also want to listen. I also want to destroy this planet. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Because a lot of it, because I remember once when I was running the trapping blind in Oregon, we had a guy visit, and he was a nice guy. He didn't seem like he was trying to be malicious or anything, but we somehow got on the topic of talking about spotted owls because we were in Oregon, and Oregon locals will tell you that the forest in the Pacific Northwest used to be very varied in terms of like the species makeup of like there were a lot of different species just naturally growing everywhere because of each species of tree was specifically filling its own niche, and it's beautiful the way it all just fits into itself. But then, you know, the capitalists, the white capitalists showed up, and we figured out that it's like, well, wait a minute. Doug fir is a species of tree that grows the fastest. It's relatively resistant to other environmental factors. Like once they get big enough, they're decent at resisting fire. We're just going to cut all the trees down and replant everything with Doug fir, because the idea was to replant with the species of tree that is most profitable in order to reproduce, so you could cut the timber down in 70 years as opposed to 150 years like you would with, say, a cedar.
I love to make a profitable tree. I'd love to grow a nice profitable tree out there in the woods.
Money grows on trees, folks.
Yeah.
So it's like so we basically don't have like real cool forests anymore because we cut down all the trees and planted Douglas firs everywhere.
Yep. Pretty much. Yeah.
I think Joni Mitchell was talking about that.
Don't get me started. Oh, the coyote. The coyote. This song is about the coyote. Well, I love the birds, Caleb. Are you coming to one of the West Coast shows, or are you like out in Montana or something? No.
Right. This is part of what I wanted to call in about. So right now I'm in the Midwest. I'm in Iowa with my family for the holidays. I'm between bird jobs. When you're an ornithologist, you have two choices. You can either sell your soul to the devil and sign up to work for the Fed, and basically you get slotted into the bureaucratic system, and just, I don't know. I have friends who do that, and they're having a tough go at it. Or you can do it the way I'm trying to do it, which is basically where you get a new job every 3 months. And it's fun in a way that you get to travel around and work and do cool stuff, but it's also like brutally isolating.
And you never get to see Street Fight Radio live. You never get to see that.
Right.
It takes away
yeah,
that
because
chance.
you guys were. Yeah, because you guys were in Des Moines, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm in Oregon, and they're in Des Moines. I love the Vaudeville Muse, and
That was
you're
a cool
there, I'm in
venue.
Oregon, and yeah, no, that place is sick.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of really good punk and metal shows there, and but so right around New Year's, I'm starting up a new job where we're going to be trapping big old turkeys, and that's going to be in Delaware. And I'm going to be in Delaware's from January's to March.
Yeah.
And
Nope, not gonna see us then. Well,
Nope.
I guess like at the end of, I mean, we're gonna be in New York in April. The first week of April, we will be in New York. Who knows what happens after that? If it's just gonna be one show, but that's not far from Delaware, Caleb. So I mean, that might be as close
No,
as
it's
we
not.
get to you. All right, buddy. Well, we hope to see you. We hope to meet you someday.
Well, he has the new.
Right.
Keep going.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. One real quick. One last thing before I hang up, because I'm sure you guys got calls. So I'm just gonna be. I have to drive from Iowa to Delaware, and I figure, what the shit? I might try to come through Columbus, and I already talked to Brett about this, but it just so happens that like the way the dates shake out, I think I'm gonna be going through Columbus on a Sunday night. So if you guys are doing a call-in on the 30th, that could be when it happens.
We will be here on the 30th, I'm pretty sure. I mean, it might be somewhere different, but you're more than welcome, okay?
Yeah, we'll be here.
All right, cool.
All right, yeah, we should be in town. I don't see us leaving quite that quickly after we get back from the West Coast and my birthday and stuff. So thanks for calling in,
No,
Caleb.
30th of December.
December?
Yeah.
All right, hey.
Oh, yeah, we're here.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you said
Yep.
January. Yeah, we might
I got to
see
be
you.
there on January 2nd.
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, cool.
Cool, yeah, we should be here. Thanks for calling, buddy.
Yep.
I've been rushing people off the phone like a jerk, I guess.
Wow, I just knew that he had something else to say.
I thought you
'Cause
said
there's-
January 30th, and I was like, we should be here. 30th December works. We'll be here. We'll be in this room, I think.
All right, let's see. We got a big queue right now.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Thanks for
Hello?
calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to?
This is Kristen.
Hey, Kristen.
Over in KC
Oh, hell yeah. What's going on tonight, Kristen?
Oh, well, I've had a very exciting weekend, and I decided to call you guys and tell you about it. I got fired on Friday.
Yikes.
I'm not going to ask you the question I would normally ask because it's me, but why did they fire you? I was going to say, what'd you do? But I know that that's not always the case. Why did they fire you? What was their reason? I like to hear their, like, was it like insubordination, chronic absence, chronic tardiness, something like that?
So he gave a lot of, like, kind of stupid reasons, like insubordination. Apparently I'm a very difficult person to work with, but the actual reason that I got fired was because I said something sarcastic.
Oh, get out
God
of town.
damn it. Get thick skin.
Seeing this a lot lately,
Really?
right? Well, I mean, not on the show, but we've done 2 now undercover bosses. The last 2 undercover bosses we've done has had the owner or the person there get really mad because somebody's a smart aleck, and then like now this, and it's like if they're firing people for being smart alecks, then it's over. You know, then you can't even get a Maxine birthday card to somebody without getting fired. You know?
We don't want to live in that America.
Exactly.
Well, what did you do?
Yeah. Okay, so there's kind of 2 parts to the story. It goes like way back because my coworker is a very big part of it, and she hates me and I hate her, and we've been working together while we hate each other for a while now.
Been there.
And yeah, and what happened is I'm an upholsterer, and I work in a very small shop. It's just me and her, locked in a room, 8 hours a day.
Okay.
But and our boss, the guy that owns the company, is an alcoholic, and he relapsed, and like just basically went MIA for weeks. Like we just didn't know what the fuck was going on. No jobs were coming in. No materials were coming in. Like we were running out of shit to do. And my coworker's super upset, and like bitching about it, and like saying we should do this, we should do this. And I've been with the IWW for a long ass time, and So I was like, okay, like there's only 2 of us, but hey, fuck, two makes a union. So, like, let's do this. Like, she actually came up with the idea that we should do a wildcat strike.
Wow.
And I was just like, that's fucking awesome. Like, let's do it. And so we had, like, this plan. We wrote our list of demands, blah, blah, blah. Comes down to it. It's Monday morning. We're supposed to not go to work. And I, like, call her in the morning before work. And, like, yeah, have a good day off, blah, blah, blah. Like, let me know if he says anything to you. Like, we'll get this done. We'll get this shit sorted out. And a whole day goes by. I don't hear anything till like 5 o'clock. And my boss texts me, "Are you coming in tomorrow?" And like I call her. I'm like, what should I tell him? Are we coming in tomorrow? And turns out she went to fucking work.
that is. I mean, that. Can I ask, like, because you said you guys hate each other? Is it?
Yeah.
Do you think she was like screwing with you, or did she just chickened out?
I think she chickened out.
Okay.
We hate each other now because she chickened out, and like her excuse for going in was that she wanted to confront him personally, and she didn't feel like leaving a note with a list of demands was something she wanted to do. Like, she thought that she needed to talk to him face to face and blah blah blah, which is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
And
like,
did she confront
she just
him?
fucking chickened out.
Did she confront him when she went in?
She did. She did confront him, but she confronted him as though it were a personal issue between her and him.
Right.
So she were like, "You're doing these things, and it upsets me, and I don't think you're treating me good as a person."
Right.
Like, yeah, but he's also fucking us as employees.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no solidarity.
Yeah.
It sounds like the whole, like, I'd just rather deal with HR myself.
It does. She really went in on like they're strengthening. She like on the phone with you, like they're strengthening union. Come on, we got to get together. We need solidarity. And then went home. It sounds like she talked to somebody, and they kind of sat down. Was like, well, maybe I should just go in there. It's really just a hurt feelings thing. It's really sour grapes with me.
Yeah.
yeah, but didn't tell me. Like, left me at home.
Yeah.
Like, the one that didn't show up to work, and like, so now my boss thinks like I'm just a slacker and like no called, no showed.
Yeah, imagine
And
being
like-
more afraid, because what it sounds like is she was more afraid of you than she was the boss in a weird way. Because it was like, why didn't she answer the phone and be like, I'm gonna go in. I think I should go in and address this. Maybe you should come in, but instead she was just like, I can't tell her I chickened out.
That's her decision to go through with it.
Yeah. I want to hear her like how she neutralizes that guilt in her mind, because you're probably right, Brett. She probably said that was her decision. She came up with all the strike stuff. I just said I'd do it and didn't, and then stabbed her in the back later on that day.
Yeah, I don't know. I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out what was going on in her mind, and it's a waste of time.
But so now
but
you're
that's
Good,
part of
that's
the
a good
reason.
lesson.
Do what?
That was a good. That's a good lesson you learned.
But now you're stuck.
Yeah.
Like, so now you're there's 2 people that work at this place and the boss, and now you're definitely number 2 on the depth chart. Like you're under her now, obviously, because you didn't show up to work and she did. Am I right to assume that?
Oh yeah, I was under her before this. Like, I was the last person hired. She's known him for like 3 years, but
You never had
so
a
I was
chance,
on
though.
the bottom.
You never had a chance after that happened, though. There's no way. He would just he would have a problem with you no matter what after that,
Yeah, pretty much. But he's not. He's like barely there. Like,
Yeah.
he shows up for like 2 hours, does some shit, and goes home. So
Oh, I love
it's not
jobs
that
like
big of a deal. But yeah, I said something to my coworker about it, and I was just like, that's kind of like messed up. Like, do you realize that you kind of really put me in an awkward, terrible position? And she like stumbled over her words, and like after that, she basically just was out to get me the whole time. Like, after that, she didn't like me. She didn't like that I said something to her face.
Yeah, that you made her address her fucking shitty behavior.
Yeah, she didn't want to address her shitty behavior, and I brought it up, and ever since then, it's been bad.
Oh God.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything wrong. She like, she totally set you up, like, in a way. It's like, I'm sure she didn't think, like, I'm gonna set her up and get her in trouble and make myself look better than her. But in the end, that was the effect of saying, we're both gonna not come into work tomorrow and leave a note, and then her showing up to work and saying, I didn't want to leave the note without addressing you. Like, she is the one that was in the wrong. Like it was her fault, and not, she just, and there are a lot of people that do this at jobs a lot of times where they want to do water under the bridge. You know, it's like, they're like, oh, it's water under the bridge. This is just a professional relationship. It's just a business relationship. It doesn't matter because we're just co-workers, you know, and that's how they act. So they like, so sometimes you'll go into work and somebody will fuck you over at the job, and then you have to be like, you're supposed to just forget it the next day and work with them because we're geared towards being like interchangeable pieces of a machine.
Right.
So we're never supposed to like have confront people like to each other. We're never supposed to confront each other as employees about the behavior. The only person that's allowed to hold a grudge or confront anybody about their behavior is the owner or the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did this lead to this week?
Okay, so that was like a month or two ago, and since then, a lot of shit has happened, a lot of little things that, like, I've been just basically sucking it up and trying to get through until I can find something else. I was working on a seat that was my boss's personal seat, like a chair that was going to go in his house for him, which I think is a little fucked up.
Yeah.
Well, I actually have done some seats for him in the past. They all have penises drawn underneath the covers. Like, if he ever takes those apart, it's going to say Chris is a giant dick, like, all over it.
This guy's getting owned by his furniture every day.
Yeah, well, I kind of hate this guy. But, so anyway, I was working on him, and I get halfway done, and my coworker says that he called and he wants me to switch to this other seat that he's decided that the one that I've just spent like 2 days working on, he's not going to keep. He's just going to throw it in the dumpster, and he wants me to do this other chair instead. That is also his. And I was like, well, what? Like, great, okay. What am I going to, like, what is he going to do with this chair? Is he going to throw this chair in the dumpster too? And she's like, oh, no, I think he's going to donate it to school or something. And I was like, well, maybe you should donate it as labor to get it finished. And she didn't say anything. She walked over to her desk, picked up the phone, texted him, like, not a full minute later.
What?
He's calling my phone.
Holy shit.
I pick it up, and I'm like, oh, hey, Chris, what's up? Because it didn't even register. I was just like, that's weird that Chris is calling me right now. And, like, he's like, I heard you have a problem working on my chairs. And I was, like, in shock. And I, like, roll out from behind my workstation. I'm like, you fucking texted him? Like, you just texted him right now with what I said. And she was just like, I had to text somebody. You don't listen to me. That's her voice.
What?
I mean, but you were...
Text your fucking husband. Text your husband and tell him all about the lady you hate at work like everybody else does.
Yeah, anybody, but, like, why the fuck? And, like, the thing is like, I said that, and then I started working on the chairs.
Yeah.
Because I'm poor, and I need that fucking money.
Yeah.
Right, and people do that all the... Like, how can, like, that be something that you would... Like, every single person does that. Like, everybody, when you're working on something, and somebody comes in and says, what you were just working on, put that away, this is more important. You're like, oh, well, fuck, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has a smart-ass comment for that. That's just the way it is. You feel like you just wasted your time.
Yeah, you just spent the last few days. Yeah, you literally did it for nothing.
Mm-hmm. To have it be thrown in the dumpster. Like, it sucks. It wasn't a good feeling. And, like, I told him that. And I was like, look, I'm working on your chair right now. Like, I said a smart-ass comment, but I'm working on your chair. He's like, well, you have a problem with it? I'm like, well, yeah, you're going to throw that chair that I've been working on in the dumpster. That doesn't feel good. And, like, had this little conversation, and he's like, over and over, I'm like, look, man, I'm working on your chair. I don't have to be excited about it. There's nothing anywhere that says I have to be excited about doing this chair.
Yes.
And he's like, well, your attitude is a problem. I'm going to give you a choice. Your choice is to work on that chair or go home or clock out and go home, and you're not welcome here anymore. And I was like, I'm working on your chair. This is absurd. And he was like, what the fuck did you just say to me? And I was like, this is absurd.
Yes.
And then he fired me.
Jesus.
Holy
He
shit.
gave you a choice, too. He wanted to fire you from the minute. Do you think that I don't know. It sounds like you were on probation. See, like the kind of probation that you get on where they don't really tell you, where it's like, next time she says some shit, I'm fucking firing her. You just let me know. I've seen it happen a bunch of times where you're on like a probation at work and like
nobody told you.
Yeah, like I've been called into an office and been blindsided and yelled at about 15 things when I thought I just did one thing. You know, that has happened so many times. It was just like they wanted to get you at that time.
Well, and this is, I mean, this guy really just, this is one of those things where, like, you can't just work here. You have to be fucking happy to work here. And you'll make shit, and I'll throw it right into the dumpster, and you'll be happy about it.
Yeah, which is stupid. Like, we don't deal with customers. Like, we don't see anybody from, like, the outside. It's just me and my coworker, and sometimes him.
And he can't take a smart-ass comment either. That, to me, seems... That's the thing. These bosses are kind of like... What, you can't take me being a smart-ass about something? Like, come on.
And they what they are, when they just feel that they are in charge of you and they control you. So that when you say something back... Like, they don't have to engage with that in any sort of personal way. It's like, wait, you're not allowed to talk back to me. That's what he's saying.
That's true.
He's like, you're not allowed to talk back to me. That's plain and simple. But what you're saying was absolutely true.
Right. Yeah, you said this doesn't feel good to me.
Right.
And like, it doesn't. Yeah. Working on something and having it thrown in a dumpster never feels good. It's just not a thing that you're going to be, like, jumping up and down about, you know? And, like...
Yeah.
For him to just, like
and
Brett
it was a
said...
cool looking chair, too.
Well, could you have kept it?
I wanted to. If I had have not, gotten fired immediately, I would have dug it out of the dumpster, finished it, and put it in my house.
Well, but even like Brett said, he's like, you need to make this chair and like it and be nice about it. And, like, I'm allowed to just say whatever I want to you. It just sounds like they had something together going on, and they were tired of you, and you were, especially over that 2 months, it just seems like you tried to organize. I'm sure they had a conversation with each other, and it came up that you tried to organize the workplace, and it was downhill from there, because it's just been, like I said, I've been called into an office a bunch of times and had people be like, I thought I got called in for, like, maybe calling off the day before, and then it's just like, you called off yesterday, and then 2 weeks ago you did this, and then last week you did this, and then you gave me a shitty look, like, last Thursday, and then you had a smart-ass comment in the meeting 2 weeks ago, and it's like, man, you've been waiting a while to call me into this office, haven't you? This has been piling up, huh?
Yeah, you really don't know what that lady's been doing, too, either. I mean, that's incredible to have somebody be that openly an asshole.
And out to get you. She got you fired. Like, that person got you fired.
She got me fired. And there's one more little, like, outrageous part of this. So I had to go back later that day to get my check, and everybody was still there. And, like, had it out with Chris in the middle of the shop.
You did?
Like, one of the things, like, I did. Yeah, because I don't take shit well.
Good.
Like, I've worked a lot by myself, and, like, doing that whole, like, submissive, like, oh, thank you, sir, for giving me this income, and that is, sucks, and I can barely afford to live on it, but thank you so much. I don't do that. I can't.
Yeah.
Like, I'm bad at it. I just,
I mean, that's why... that's why I always quit so disrespectfully, because I'm not going to thank you for that.
Yeah, I hated it. I hated it the whole
I
time.
hated it here, and I'm going to fucking let you know when I walk out this door.
Yeah, absolutely. And it feels good when you do it, too.
Oh, my God.
But, okay, so the more absurd part. So in the process of, like, talking to Chris and arguing with him, and I find out that Debbie is basically my coworker. She's been texting him basically every little thing that I do that annoys her.
Yeah, that's what
And
I
he
thought.
was like bringing this crap up. Like, I didn't vacuum her area for her one time when I used it. Like, I put her scissors in the wrong spot. Like, all sorts of like
That's crazy.
little stuff that she's just been like texting him over and over the past like couple of months. Like, she's just disrespectful. She said something smart ass to me and blah 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 blah.
Did she? I gotta ask. Do you think they're gonna replace you, or just give your job to her?
I don't know. I don't know. what
Yeah,
they're
it just
gonna do.
to me it because like the way you were describing it, it sounds like they might have been slowing down a little bit, or like were they slowing down? Were they just like, we can't have two upholsterers here, so now we're just gonna get rid of them and she's gonna do it all?
Well, Chris is leaving, and then she was supposed to like go into the manager role, and then I would be like the like grunt work person.
Okay.
So I don't. They basically have to replace me.
Ah.
However they do it. But yeah, I don't know how that's gonna happen.
Excited for the person that works under her as a as a manager.
Yeah.
Gonna be some real petty stuff, write-ups going on. She sounds real petty to me. I mean,
Yeah.
it really, to me, it's like, I mean, the stuff about like she didn't put my scissors back where they were supposed to go, that kind of stuff is like, this is just stuff that happens in an office when you work with other humans. This isn't like, it's not a microaggression, you know?
Yeah. Well, okay. This is the icing on the cake. Okay. So I think that in her mind somehow she was like not sure if like I was coming back at all. Like, wasn't sure if like I was fired, or if I was like gonna try and talk Chris into giving me my job back, which is not gonna happen. But anyway, so I get back to the shop, and as he's like spouting out all this stuff and this reason that I'm horrible to work with and I'm a terrible person, and he's like, "And you do shitty work. Like, look at this shit right here," and he points to these chairs that I'd finished a couple of days ago that were just sitting there, and I look at them. And lo and behold, she like took a fucking pair of scissors to him and cut one of the seams open and made it look like I didn't finish the project, and just like she sabotaged, she destroyed property to make sure that I was not going to come back.
Oh my God! Wow. How have you egged her car? You can't say it, but
Yeah,
whoa.
like I saw that and I was just like, I couldn't even say anything. I was like, that's not what it looked like when I left. But you know what? I got my check. Peace.
Yeah. I mean, it's better. It's better for you to just get out. You know, you got in what you wanted to say, and now you're out, and you can like make a break from this thing. And I imagine if that's the way the business was running, you weren't making a ton of money, and that you might be able to find something, you know, comparable money wise. I think it. I don't know how many upholstering jobs there are. It sounds like a sweet job, though. So I feel bad for you in that respect.
Well, there's not so much a lot in the job market, but I've been working on for the past year or so, getting a good group together, and I think in a couple of months we will be opening Conquest of Thread, which will be a worker-owned sewing shop.
Nice. That
Good
sounds
idea.
great.
That sounds like a much better endeavor than that bullshit you were stuck up in.
Yeah, keep us posted on that. Anything we can do to help. If you guys need startup stuff or help with publicity or anything, please keep us posted.
Heck yeah, I certainly will. It's getting rushed now because I got fired. It was supposed to be like February, but fuck it, January will do.
Yeah, it's a good motivator.
Well, you have a great night. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Brett, that was crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty
crazy
good.
one.
We haven't had one like that. That seems pretty unique.
Well, we haven't had a coworker turn on somebody.
Yeah, with like full espionage.
Yeah, well, and we've had it's mostly bosses, and I think as in the left, even not just Street Fight, not just us, I do think there's a tendency to like gloss over the fact that our coworkers can also fuck us, because we want to believe that we can join with them and overtake the place, but there are times where
if you've had a job, you know that. Every job, you know that people can't be trusted.
Right, but we a lot of times try not to bring. I try not to bring that up a lot of times, where it's like, some of the employees are real dickheads. Because then I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, well, they got their own stuff going on, and maybe they're not like being consciously mean. They're just, they don't know. But that is a person who's being consciously mean and is just being horrible,
trying to ruin someone's life, mess with somebody's fucking income.
Yeah. So let's get.
My God, God damn it, that lady makes me mad.
Well, the texting right away, texting the boss after like right away, acting like she's not going to do the chair, because I'm sure that's in her mind. It was like she just said she's not going to do the chair. Right. I need to tell Chris or it's not going to get done.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And she was just like, I'm going to call. But even then, it's like, can you settle it in the room? Let's settle it right here. Let's settle this whole thing right here in this room.
It's such a fucking alcoholic move, too, to have some idiot under you that just tells on everybody and doesn't care about your ridiculous fucking tirades,
That's true. Well, it's a small business tyrant move to the T. To always have one person that, chances, like I know at the diner, it was a guy that he just paid a little more than everybody else, who came in a little earlier than everybody else, who had just a little bit more responsibility than everybody else, and he would just snitch on you all the time, no matter what. He took a long break and shit like that. So.
All right, let's see who's on the phone next here. Thank you for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to? Oh wait, hold on. Who are we talking to?
It's me.
Yes.
Yep.
Hey, it's Eugene Debs. How you guys doing?
What's up, Eugene Debs? A celeb again. How's it going tonight, Eugene?
Oh, not too bad. I'm getting pretty tired. I'm glad to hear that you were thinking about moving moving the show up a little earlier.
Yes, I would love to. We are working on that.
Yeah, that would make my life better.
Maybe 2019, it's coming. The early call-in show where I get to go home by midnight instead of 3. Well, what's going on?
Keep from getting kicked off the air for. Oh, sorry.
No, we're not going to be on the air. What's going on tonight, Eugene?
Oh, not too much, man. I got a small business tyrant story for you.
Okay, cool.
You want to hear it?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So when I was younger, I was probably a couple years out of high school. I was working at this mall stand at Palmertown Mall, which used to be a nice place in the Cleveland area, and I worked at one of those stores that sold like light up accessories for your cell phone. Like, remember when everyone had like those like the little Verizon flip phones, or like the little ones that look like peanuts, the little peanut phones, and you could like change like the face plates on them.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Those were the good old days of phones.
Yeah. You could put like a weed leaf. You knew you were cool because you had like a weed leaf faceplate on it, or like you could get like an antenna that like lit up when you made a phone call and shit like that. So I worked at one of those stores. Which, side note, like, I received absolutely zero training on how to take apart people's phones. Or it's like, yeah, here, sell these things to people, and like the flip phones, you'd have to like take the whole damn phone apart to like underlay like these like light up like keypads on them, and like, we just fuck up people's phones, and like nothing would happen. So they would call the owner, and the owner would be like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. Somehow I got away with it. But
God damn.
So anyway, this guy, yeah, it's fucked up. But I worked there for 6-7 months or something like that, and like my paycheck stopped coming, right? So I was getting paid every week, and then like 3 or maybe 4 weeks went by and I didn't get paid. So I was, it kind of became problematic. And one day I come in, and like the stands are just gone. Like, the stands aren't in the middle of the mall anymore. So, I tried calling the guy, and he's dodging me because he owes me money, and I'm sucked at his business shut down, I guess, for him. But I still want to get paid for the work I did.
Yeah.
And I was living with my grandfather at the time, and I was telling him about it, and he's got all real fired up about it, and he kind of put the legwork in to take this guy to small claims court, right?
Nice.
Grandpa's rule, man.
Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you for your wisdom, Grandpa.
Angry grandpas kick ass sometimes. They're not all Trump guys.
No, well, okay, well, he died before he could be a Trump guy, but he would have been a Trump guy. But, because what's weird about him is it was kind of cool. He was, he was a troop, but he was before troops were in. He wasn't it was before Vietnam era, right? So he did 20. He was my grandma was from a really wealthy family from the east side of Cleveland, and he was just this poor kid, right? And he joined the military, worked in the military for 20 years, and retired at before he was even 40. He retired from the military, and then went off and got a state. I can't remember exactly what he did, but he got a state job when he was 40 and worked for them for 25 years, and retired from the state as well. So the dude was pulling 2 pensions and Social Security, and of course, but then he turns 65, retires, gets all these, basically just getting a shit ton of government money, and you're sitting in front of his TV watching Fox News all day, and just hates everybody who is living off the government.
That's
so it's
yeah.
Dude, what do you think you're doing? But so we take this guy to small claims court, and he shows up. And, I had pretty clear. I can't remember what it was, but I had some kind of documentation of the hours I worked and how he hadn't paid me, and I won, and I should have won. But this arbitrator, in Parma, Ohio, which is a pretty racist place, and the guy who owned the cell phone stand was this Middle Eastern guy, and it was 2003.
Oh.
All right, and I just remember feeling just I was so happy I won, but I felt so terrible because we get up. I get up to leave. My grandpa's in there with me, and me and my grandpa, the small business parent's in there too. And he gets up and he's all pissed because he lost, and he walks out. And sorry, the arbitrator told us he was going to send us the decision. The guy gets up and he walks out, and the arbitrator's like, "Yes, I'm going to send you the decision, but frankly, I don't see much of a problem with your position. I'm sick of these goddamn Arabs trying to think they can make up their own rules." And I'm like, oh yeah, and this was a fucking person, an arbitrator / I think he was a judge too, you know what I mean, or somebody involved, at least a lawyer.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I was like, holy shit! I mean, I should win, but you are a terrible human being.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know what to say. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, what a weird situation to be in.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't thinking that.
Right.
Hey, I didn't like him for other reasons.
Yeah, do you just rule my favor because I worked for 50 hours and the guy didn't pay me?
Yeah. Right. That'll suffice.
Yeah, I don't need the other part of what's going on in your brain. Just only the professional stuff, please. Only the lawyer stuff.
Don't bring me in on some sort of racist club.
I know. He's trying to get you to join the 3%ers on your way out.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you're like, are you sure? How about check this out the literature? It's like you hand me a zine or something like that.
And you're standing there this guy's gonna have to give me money, and I don't want to call this guy out on his racism and get him all pissed off at me.
Right.
That is crazy.
Right.
I mean, it was 2003, from 2001 to 2005 was a weird, not weird, I mean, it was racism. It's not a weird thing in America. There's always tons of racism, but there was a lot of getting away with it in the United, like very open getting away with it in the United States at that time.
I was a junior in high school in 2001, and there was I remember in the locker room one day, not one day, like the day after 9/11, or like first day we went back to school, wherever it was. There was one kid who wasn't even like Middle Eastern. He was like Indian or something like that, but he just had like the right skin tone, and like everyone was just being fucking awful to this kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was. I mean, it was. I'm sure you. Because you guys were in high school around that time, right?
Well, I graduated, but I was out of school by that time. But I saw a lot of shit, you know. It just everybody saw a lot of crazy stuff. It was like an ugly time, and we're just now we're still like reconciling that, I think. So, you know, we're still kind of getting over that. Did you get your money?
Right, yeah. Oh yeah, I got it. He sent me a couple. It took a couple months, but he sent me a couple checks and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not really sure what happened. What's weird about it is I don't even know why that place went out of business. I mean, it did pretty good money. I mean, back in the day, like that's what everybody wanted. I mean, those little light up shit for your cell phones and all those faceplates were pretty hot shit.
I mean, there's probably high overhead being in a mall, I would guess. Even if you're in the middle of the mall, it costs a shitload of money to put your place in the mall.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's high turnover with those places anyway. I go to the mall more because my daughter's a teenager, and that's like the only place she wants to go with me. And like those places are different every time. They're just jumping on whatever trend. Any little thing that you can come up with, they're selling. Like a lot of them are selling Raspberry Pis now, and they put them in like a 3D printed NES box or Super Famicom box, and they're selling that. They're selling like just whatever
squishies now too. Lots of squishies, because you can buy a box full of squishies for like 50 cents a piece. And people here are paying like $8 and $9 for them.
Yeah. So they just go out of business because either they run out of product or they just. It is really a weird business to be.
I think
in.
Not a lot of money to be
I
made
think a lot
there.
of them are.
Yeah.
I think they're money laundering schemes. I really do think most of them are money laundering.
Some of them,
There could be.
a lot of the bars.
I worked in malls.
A lot of the
places for a long time.
Right, a lot of the places in malls do seem like a little weird. Like you just like you walk by them and you're like, who would ever go in that store? Like how is that in business, and who would ever walk in there? There's never anybody there.
Yeah, and there are other situations where people get a hold of a ton of money. And then they're like, we'll be right in the mall. We'll be basically, right where everybody's ready to spend. And it's like, you're terrible at business and you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, because I've been in the mall.
Right.
I was in the mall Saturday before, right now it's the 15th, right before Christmas. And there was this store in there, and we're walking, and there's this store in there, and I look at my kid, I'm walking with my kid, and I was like, you want to go in there? And she was like, no, who would want to go in there? Nobody was in there. There's nobody in a store. They were just all walking by this one store. Like, they were just selling, like women's clothes, like pretty much the same clothes they sell at the other bigger stores, you know what I mean?
But it was like an independent outfit?
Everybody knows.
Outfit. Yeah.
That will be there. Stores will still be there in January, so if you want to return something, you can do it.
Well, hey, Eugene, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it.
Okay.
We gotta get one more in and get a break here.
I got you.
Do we?
We're rolling through, man. We're rolling through these things. We're trying. We got a lot of calls tonight. They just keep piling up.
That's a lot of people.
I don't know if we're gonna get to all of you.
Thanks for calling Street Fighter.
Hey. This is one of your modcasts, Ryan. I'm starting a timer for 5 minutes.
Oh,
so I
you're
don't
taking 5
drone
minutes.
on for so long.
Okay.
I don't want to drone on and ruin the show like I sometimes do.
Please don't ruin the show. This is a big show for us.
I know, it always is. I just wanted to give you an update on what this Nazi hunting data scientist group is doing.
Okay.
But before that, I wanted to read off, there's some job opportunities in New Orleans. And this being a podcast for working class people, I thought that would be a cool thing to read. Current Affairs, the magazine, it's like a lefty magazine, it's good. Let me just read the post from the editor-in-chief. If you are interested in possible future employment opportunities with Current Affairs, have editing, design, marketing, or administrative experience, and live in New Orleans or could relocate there, email nathan@currentaffairs.org with a resume, and we will inform you when positions open. We'll be looking for kind-hearted and committed lefties who understood and appreciate our magazine's work. Pass this on, blah, 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 blah. I partied when I was with New Orleans with their, like, administrator, like, their current administrative maven, Kate, and, like, she said it was a great job, so I just wanted to pass that on.
Good to know, good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Just street fighters, lefties, you're all kind-hearted. I've met so many of you. You're kind-hearted, and you're lefty, and you're great, and if that's you, you should apply, you know? I would ask you how you're doing, but I've been looking at this podcast. I know you guys are doing pretty good.
Great. We're feeling great.
I wanted to let everybody know, like, this, like, you know, spooky data science group, they just corrected an FBI indictment against a neo-Nazi. So I wouldn't say they're working with the FBI because they didn't talk to the FBI, but the FBI brought an affidavit and arrested a neo-Nazi, and their affidavit was wrong. Like, it had a bunch of factually incorrect information on it. So this is back in late November. This data science group that I know some people in but don't do anything with, they corrected that, and now this fucking Nazi is probably going to spend a long time in a cage. And, you know, I'm a prison abolitionist, so hopefully he's the last person we'll let out and then put on an ice floe before we abolish prison forever.
Right.
But, yeah, the group's brought down, like, 16 web pages now and has corrected an FBI affidavit. And also, finally, just this week, a lot of fascists like Sargon of Akkad and all this who've been banned from a lot of platforms, they found a new platform called Subscribestar and got on it, and they were like, I mean, that's where they were all going. Like they were letting anybody in. Well, now it's gone. Like now, Stripe, PayPal, Braintree, and one other place, all the big places where you can get payment and processing done have dumped this website, and it's pretty much destroyed it. There were some cool people on there, so the members of the group do feel bad about that, but, like, you know, you had Nazis getting money, and now Nazis aren't getting money. So, yeah, I just wanted to let people know about that.
It's cool. Thanks for the update.
And, oh, by the way, for your own WCRS, you know Sabotage the Future?
Yeah, Rob? Yeah.
Yeah, Rob. Rob interviewed me, and I talked about, like,
Rob.
AI and leftiness or whatever.
Oh, cool.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
we love
Rob
Rob.
is cool.
Yeah, no, Rob is fucking super cool.
Rob
Like,
is one of our
I had a great time.
staunchest defenders for the whole 7 years we've been on WCRS. Rob has had mine and Brett's back every single time. Sometimes he has to be like,
That
guys,
is so good.
Can you guys cut the malarkey a little bit? Like, there's been times where he's had to kind of rein us in, but I mean, anybody that's working with me and Brett has to rein us in. We're what is it? We're chronically illegal. We can't ever figure out how to do something.
Well,
legally.
you're anarchists, man. You're anarchists. You're, like, above and beyond, you know, the law and, like, the legal system.
Yeah.
All right,
Ryan. It's
well,
good to talk to you.
I also interviewed with the Blockchain Boys, and they were great. They're street fighters. That's how they reached out to me. But that's my timer. That's my 5 minutes. I still believe in every single street fighter, and I love you all.
No, that's so
Well,
beautiful.
thank
you
you.
for calling in and sharing that nice sentiment. Happy holidays.
Have a good
Happy
night.
holidays.
You want to do
Bye-bye.
one more
Bye-bye.
and then take the break? Because that was only 5 minutes. What do you think? Or do you want to take the break?
I kind of.
It's called edging.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Dude, I'm not going to go into any further detail. It's just
But you think that we'll be able to last longer?
No,
If we-
well, it'll feel better when we get the break if we hold it off longer. But let's take the break, man. I'm cool with it. It's an hour 30. It's the exact
Fine.
perfect
We'll
amount
edge.
of time.
We'll edge.
Are we edging? We're gonna edge real quick. Jason, we're edging. He's like, God damn
Right
it.
to the brink. Almost had a break.
Watch this be
Now
a
we don't.
35-minute call.
Thanks for calling Street Fighter. Who are we talking to?
Oh shit! What's up, y'all? It's Mississippi Willie out here in the capital of our beautiful Magnolia State.
What's
How
up?
the hell y'all boys doing?
Doing great. How about yourself?
We are good.
Oh, good. I'm just relaxing after I got off work, crushing a few Keystone Lights.
I like Mississippi.
That's a refreshing brew.
I love it.
Is it hot? You have a hot?
What's
Is it hot down there all the time?
It usually is, and like it just kind of dropped temp like into the winter, like this week, and it really sucks going from like 70 every day to like fucking 40. It feels like terrible.
Yeah.
I know that's that's probably hot for y'all up there, but
I have been walking around in t-shirt. Like, I've been walking around with like a long sleeve t-shirt on, and it's 40 degrees, and I feel fine. So it's
shit,
nice.
I'm outside smoking a cigarette right now and wearing 3 coats.
I love Mississippi Willie. I'm glad he called in. See, we edged and it came out on top. So what's going on tonight, Mississippi Willie?
Man, I just wanted to let y'all know about the Burger King jug because I know Brett, he doesn't like fast food, but I know you do, and then maybe some of your listeners do. But Burger King, man, if you get any receipt that you find, you can just write a random code on there, and they'll give you a free Whopper.
Good idea. I do like free food. I do like free meals.
And Brett, a thing about Brett is that he actually, one, he likes Burger King's veggie burger, right? I'm not out of school.
We don't have those here yet.
2, Brett also likes just getting a burger with no meat and putting the French fries on the bun.
I do like fry. I like fry burgers as well.
So it helps Brett too. You can order a Whopper without bread, or without meat. A Whopper without bread is vile. I had that
protein
meat.
style.
I told you yesterday, Brian. I said, Burger King is the fast food of the proletariat. It really is. I just get free burgers all the time.
That is cool. I mean, it's just the worst place of all. Me and Brett ate at one on the way to one of our live gigs, and it just they gotta. They need to do what they need to do what Domino's did. That's what needs to happen. They need to be like, look, y'all.
But like, if you go in there with low expectations in the beginning, you're either going to be pleasantly surprised, or you're going to be like, all right, well, this is shit, but I knew it was going to be.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
But they need to own that. They need to revamp it.
They need to say, we know we've been bad for the past decade, that you don't want to step in here because it still looks like it's 1994 and like all the same like fake plants are in here.
We're also out of everything.
Glass bricks and shit.
We know that none of the machines work in here. You can't get an icy and you can't ever get an icy and all the pops are like empty. The bag in a box is empty. But you know what? Now we're different. We're working real hard, and they maybe even need to go artisan, really, because what?
No.
Well,
what
I just want the fruit lettuce. I'm down with that.
What they've decided to do now is just be like, we'll give you 10 chicken nuggets for $1. Yeah. They're just really not like trying anything new. They're just being like,
they're the Double Down brand.
They are. They're definitely double. I saw that somebody DM me or somebody sent me a thing on Twitter one time. Like, did you know you can get 10 chicken nuggets for $1 at Burger King? And I'm like, I don't like want 10 of anything for $1. Like meat wise, like it just 10 for $1 meat. That's. I mean, maybe it's loss leader, but I don't think it is.
Let me ask you about this code though. Does the code have to be a certain length?
Mississippi Willie, did we lose you? I think we lost him.
It's showing he's still there.
You still here, buddy? Can you hear us? The mic's working. Everything's working. Oh, man, we love that guy.
Yeah, he was our new favorite caller.
Now it's break time. He was Mississippi Willie.
He jumped to the front. He was going to get his the first listener show shirt made.
He
Listener
was
of
a
the show
king.
shirt made.
He was a king. Mississippi Willie, you're a king. We're sorry it got disconnected or
You should be
whatever.
the burger. He should be the new Burger King.
I love him. I would eat there. All right. We edged. It's break time, baby.
Well, yeah, but then, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but then.
All right, thanks for listening to the show. We're going to take a break here. I got some music for you from other caller to the show, Young Chomsky. You can find some of his Labor Wave jams over on soundcloud.com/young, spelled YUNG-Chomsky. So enjoy the show. We will be back in 10 minutes or so. I got to get something to get my throat in order. You're listening to Street Fight Radio on WCRS. It's the best. Let's do this shit. I don't know how to play this all right. Here it comes. Here it comes. It's going to be good.
Power, propaganda, terror. Power, propaganda, power, propaganda, terror. Power, propaganda, propaganda, power, terror. Power, propaganda, propaganda, power, terror. Propaganda, propaganda.
What happened years ago may have a bearing on what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow. What happened years ago, what happened may have a bearing on what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow. What happened years ago may have a bearing on what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow. What happened years ago, what happened may have a bearing on what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow. What happened years ago may have a bearing on what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow. What happened years ago, what happened may have a bearing on what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Power, terror. Power, propaganda, propaganda, power, terror. Power, propaganda, propaganda.
What happened years ago may have a bearing on what happens tomorrow. What happened years ago may have a bearing on what happens tomorrow. What happened?
Power, terror. Power, propaganda, propaganda, 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 power, terror. Power, propaganda, propaganda.
Sugar and spice. And all those things that are nice. Spice. Nice. Sugar and spice.
much joy I get out of being cruel to old white men. F the police, kill all men. Kill, kill, kill. F police. Cops are a-holes. Kill all the men. F the police. Kill all men. Kill, kill, kill. F police. Cops are a-holes. Kill all the men. Oh man, it's kind of sick how much joy I get out of being cruel to old white. Oh man, being cruel, cruel, cruel to old man. It's kind of sick being cruel to old white men.
Police officers standing over me, pointing weapons at me. Mass incarceration. Wanna go to jail? I am the law and order candidate. You're a
We must not vilify police officers.
Our brave men and brave women in blue.
The kinds of kids that are called super predators.
Law and order.
First, we have to bring them to heel.
Heal. Wanna go to jail? Police officers standing over me, pointing weapons at me. The school to prison pipeline. The so-called broken windows theory.
State surveillance.
Inherently racialized. Law and order.
Hey everybody. Welcome back to Street Fight Radio. We are back on the air. If you like those jams, that is Young Chomsky from SoundCloud. That song was called Watching You. The other one was Kill All Men, and the one before that was Power Propaganda. You can check those tracks out and listen to more on soundcloud.com/young, YUNG-Chomsky. Check him out, give him some support. He's called into the show. He's a good fucking dude, so give him your time and attention and jam some Labor Wave this holiday season. We are coming to you live from the Free Press Studios out of Columbus, Ohio. We are part of the Pacifica Radio Network. We are Street Fight. You can listen to us in Columbus, Ohio on WCRS-FM 92.7 or 98.3 if you're inside that 270 outer belt. It's Street Fight, the best community radio that there is, WCRS. I'm Brett. He's Brian. Thank you to all the people watching on the stream as well. I'm in the chat. I'm chatting with all you chatty chats in there and looking at what you're saying, and happy that people have something to do before work starts this week, right?
Yeah, before you go to work and get fired this week.
Yeah, before some employee decides to text the fucking boss every single time you make a snarky remark.
Not fair, and our listeners have too many snarky remarks. If that becomes the new standard, then we're in deep trouble.
Well, we had an issue with that with Ronnie on the episode of Undercover Boss that we did recently, where there was a guy that was just being a little too jokey, and it completely shocked the owner of the company, or the whatever she was.
Yeah, he just said he didn't like employee or
he said
customers.
He hated customers.
So you'll see that tomorrow, you'll see that. You will have already seen it by the time this is released, but it's a good show.
It's coming out tomorrow, Monday, for all you live stream people. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to?
Is this me?
It is.
You.
Hey, what's up? This is Robert, the security guard in St. Louis.
What's up, Robert? How are you? I talked to you last week, right?
Yeah. I'm doing pretty good. You guys doing all right tonight?
We're feeling pretty good. We're back at full strength. It's nice to have Brett here across the table from me playing music and just being an all-around sweetheart.
I also put some minions up on the live stream for everybody.
Yeah, I feel like a special kinship with Brett because, he said something whenever I first started, listening to the show. Like, the very first episode, he's like, I live for the plant. And, I just, and since then, me and Brett, I always feel like a special, nothing against you, Brian, of course, but, me and Brett always, I always feel this kinship with him, everything he says. I'm like, yeah, dude, absolutely.
I agree with him a lot, too, so I'm with you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Well,
Thank you.
I mean, especially I love it. I'm talking about you you're not right there, but I love when you get angry, and I'm like, yeah, dude, not I don't know, I get angry a lot whenever I start thinking about things, and I'm I'll go on that hole, I'll go down the hole, and then I'm just pissed off for the rest of the day because I'm ugh.
Yeah, that's the thing that's nice about doing it here is that I just get to do it here, and then because otherwise I don't want it to ruin my whole day,
Yeah. So I have one short thing that about my wife, and then just an update on the workplace stuff that I'm doing, and how I wanted to how I started doing that. Sorry, I'm a little high right now.
Oh, it's cool.
So my wife at work today, so she works at Starbucks, and she has some stories, but she doesn't, want to get on the phone. She was making fun of me for it earlier, and I was like, you don't understand. But yeah, so she was at work, and they did a happy hour thing all weekend, and they understaffed because, of course, they did.
Oh.
And she calls me at least once a week with an emotional breakdown, where she's crying, and I'm like, yeah, I know, I get it, right? And then I let her, I let her cry it out and everything, and I'm like, I know, just make it through today, that's all you gotta do, just make it through today.
Yeah, that's very hard.
Yeah, but today, so she calls me, and she got very angry with me, which is unusual. And she was saying that she took a picture of essentially the inside and the drive-through, and sent it in the group text to her manager and just said help, right? And her manager responded, you still had time to take a photo, though.
Oh, damn. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
what an asshole.
Well, no, it's a woman.
Well,
her name's
asshole can
Jen.
be either.
Women can be assholes.
Women
trust
can
me.
be assholes.
I mean, yeah. I
That's
get it.
insane. That is, oh, man, that's really,
Yeah,
man,
that was some. Yeah, she told me that. I was like, oh man, like I forgot that you guys were. For some reason I didn't think you guys were doing a call-in show tonight, and I was like, oh, I'll have to talk about that.
yeah, that's I mean, that's, and then they think that's managing, is just have a response, even if it's like a completely shitty thing to say,
Or like useless thing to say.
right? Useless, really.
Yeah.
It doesn't really help the issue.
Yeah, and she's like, well, what should I say back to her? And I was like, honestly, just leave that alone. That's not even like, what do you say to that? Like, okay, you obviously don't give a shit, so.
Yeah, that is hard. It feels like, what's the fucking point?
Right. Which on that narrative, so I thought about it. I called in all last week, and I was all excited talking about like unionizing my workplace and everything. And I kind of stepped back, as Brian suggested, and I was kind of like, what can I do from my position? And so we do personnel inspections, and essentially the account managers keep trying to push like responsibilities off on us because they're salaried, and so they don't want to do work, so they just kind of write us notes or like send us emails and then leave before we can talk to them about it, and then blame it on us whenever we don't get it done, and then they get bitched at. So I started going around to the sites, and I'll do my personnel inspections, and then essentially I'll just throw it in on the end. I'm like, if there's anything at all that would make your work experience better here, just let me know, right? And a lot of the times it's like pay, and whenever they bring up pay, I'm like, hey, okay, I don't want to bring that up just because like you could get in trouble, but that is an issue that I've been noticing a lot. So if I can take your name down just for like personal reasons, and usually I'll be like, I can give you my number, and I'll give out my personal number just so that they're like, know that I'm not gonna screw them over,
right? Or tell them
kind of deal. Yeah, exactly. And I've gotten about 15 names of people that are like that. In addition to a couple other people that just have like really petty complaints that like I'm super stoked to bring up to about management, because I'm going to go back in about a month, because that's about the window that we want before we hit a site again, and maybe a little bit earlier just because I'll get excited, and I know I will, but go back, and then whenever the issue's not fixed, just like go in there and ram some ass. And ideally, they'll give me either a little bit more authority, or they'll get their shit together because they'll get tired. But if they give me more authority, which I think they're trying to do, just to like get the workload off them, and if they give us things like the ability to essentially fix those issues. Like I have one lady who just like hates her manager and can't get anything done about it. Like HR won't listen to her. Like nobody will, and she hates coming to work. She's worked there for like 14 years, and I'm like, you shouldn't have to deal with that. So I'm just waiting for them to give me like, hey, you need to go fix this, permission, and then if I can start letting workers out there feel like they have people on the office that actually work for the company on the inside.
Yeah.
And then these pay issues are coming up, which we also feel in the office. Maybe that can lead into something. That's my mindset. And I'd love to talk to somebody. Brian reached out to me, last week. I'd love to talk to somebody about, there's that IWW person that called in, somebody like that. I just don't know where to look. Very interested, just need direction.
Is there a local where you're at? Like, if you don't, what city? You're in St. Louis?
Yeah.
There's
I mean, I'm on. I work in St. Louis. I live in Illinois, but
There's a local IWW in St. Louis. They actually brought us the mics. They brought us a sound system, and we went to a dinner, and they're a pretty big IWW. If they don't get a hold of you, I would find because they're probably on Twitter or Facebook, and you can find and send them a little thing, and they will absolutely work with you. I don't remember any of the people, but St. Louis has a big IWW, like bigger than most cities we've been to.
yeah, I was just like stationed I just got out in the Navy back in April, and like I was down in Georgia, and like I kind of knew some people down in Georgia, but like I wasn't like really part of the workforce, and you know, like I wasn't really like out here like talking to people, and like the more that I interact with people, the more that I'm like, yeah, I mean, like something needs to be done here, you know, like I'm more akin to it now, I guess. So like I actually want to get involved, and you know, I'm new back to the area in that circle, but yeah, I'll look into it.
Yeah, I'm checking Twitter to see if they have a page for their IWW in St. Louis, and I'm not like finding it right now, but like
I follow the DSA and everything on Facebook and on Twitter, but like I keep meaning like trying to go to meetings, but like I work on the days that they have meetings, and I work 2 to 10. So my schedule's like pretty limited.
Yeah, and there's a lot.
I think they have an event next week that I'm going to try to get to.
There's also a lot of overlap too with the IWW and the DSA in a lot of cities, because sometimes the IWW is pretty small, so the people in the IWW will also be in the DSA as like overlap because it's a bigger organization. And you know, either one of those organizations will be able to help you. There's usually an organizer somewhere, and like I said, the IWW in St. Louis were really kind to us, and it looked like there were a decent amount of them. So I would definitely go looking in that direction, and I'm willing to bet they'll help you out there.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good night.
You too.
I wish I remembered any of the stuff from St. Louis, but there was definitely an IWW there. They were pretty, as I would say, robust. It was a robust.
There was a lot of people there. Yeah, St. Louis was a good turnout for that stuff.
Yeah, because remember we went to that dinner.
We had someone from the First Church of Cannabis was there as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we went to that dinner, and that's when the guy went and got us the thing. So there were a lot of them. There were a ton of them there.
That's true. All right, let's see who's next. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to?
Hey, what's up? This is Young Chomsky.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, we just played your tunes.
I heard. I was actually, that was a funny coincidence because I was on the line, not knowing you're going to play it. And I was like, hey, who's that? I know that music. This is good stuff. I want to subscribe to that guy's feed.
Well, how do you do that?
You go to SoundCloud/Young Chomsky and you hit subscribe, I guess.
Nice. Well, what's going on tonight, Young Chomsky?
Well, first of all, not to name drop, but I just wanted to say that we had our mutual friend Brace over for dinner last night, and let me tell you, we are still putting this place back together. You know, after you have that guy, he makes a goddamn mess.
He's a sweetie. He's a fun guy.
He busted up the whole joint?
Yeah, you know, he just comes in like a brace in a china shop, as the saying goes. No, we had a good time. We my girlfriend mostly prepared, and I helped a little bit, like a little post Hanukkah pre-Christmas meal, and it was lovely.
Get that boy some good food. Get that boy some good food in him. He doesn't know how to cook.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Well, and we had nog. That was my main. I don't know where you fall on the nog spectrum, but I'm a big nog. I'm a big nog head. I live that nog life.
Okay.
Brett's a nog head.
I fucking love nog.
Yeah.
But do you ever do the coquito?
I don't know what that is.
So it's like a traditional Christmas drink that's made with coconut cream instead of eggs.
Okay.
And I'm going to go for that this Christmas. But I did have a nog already. I fucking love it. Easy to make at home. I also did it with like stevia and pea milk. So
I like a Nog milkshake. We have a local place, UDF, which is United Dairy Farmers, and they have milkshakes. And if you go in and order one, the person behind the counter will absolutely hate you for the rest of your life. But they have really good eggnog milkshakes there. I think the Nog has to be really cold for me, or I'm not comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So,
well, so
what do you put in
yeah,
yours?
what I wanted to talk about for a minute was firefighters, basically, and whether they're cops.
Okay.
And because you had a caller I was listening to, I guess it was a few weeks ago now, who kind of brought this up.
It's an ongoing
about firefighters,
discussion.
and I thought,
It's an
yeah, I thought it
ongoing
was a really
street fight
interesting
discussion.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of close to home for my life right now. So, and it's kind of been on my mind, and I was thinking it would be a really good street fight conversation because, so I spoke to you guys way back at the beginning of this year about how I kind of got forcibly, shown the door at my tech job here in San Francisco, and since then had this kind of soul-searching journey. And what I ended up doing was I enrolled in an EMT course, and I'm actually going to be graduating from that course in a few days. And the thought was I basically had this conversation with a friend, a DSA friend, who put this idea in my head about that I could become a firefighter. And so I was just like, it was kind of one conversation, and I was like, well, that sounds so crazy, it just might work. To me, the appeal was like, I'm so sick of this tech industry, like, the money's good, but it's just like all about profiting for venture capitalists, and it feels so kind of soul-sucking.
Right.
And the idea of being a firefighter for me was like, well, this is necessary work. It's something that's actually valuable for society, and it requires physical fitness, which I'm into. And I was like, it's something I could do, and maybe I would feel good about what I was doing. And so it turns out that what you need is to be a licensed EMT. So I was like, well, let me just take this first step. I have no idea what I'm getting into, but I'll just try this course. And if nothing else comes of it, I'll learn stuff about how to save people's lives.
Yeah.
And that'll be cool. So yeah, I've been taking this course, and it's been super eye-opening and enlightening. I don't know where to start. I'm not, going to try to keep it short, but I think that I'm probably not going to be a firefighter.
Really?
I think this is probably going to be the end of the road for me. Yeah, I mean, mostly for practical reasons. But as far as my kind of idealistic view of it, I did meet some people, so I had to do ride-alongs, in an ambulance. I had to do 2 shifts, and I met some interesting people. I rode along on an ambulance with the fire department, and it was really interesting. So the first time I did that, the first dude I met was this guy, this big muscular dude wearing a shirt, and this is an official department shirt, and on the front it has the Punisher logo with a bullet hole in it, and on the back it's the fire department with the American flag. And this dude was just this kind of loudmouth, aggressive, and I think he was showboating for me a little bit, but he's talking about his guns, and then he said something that stuck out to me. He's talking about being married, and he's like, he was a white guy, and he said something about his wife, and he's like, yeah, my wife, she's Persian. And that was the first thing out of his mouth. And I just feel like that's kind of a genre of a white dude who will tell you really quickly that about his wife and mention her ethnicity, which is not white.
Or just, he could also possibly, I mean, there is a lot of white guys that just tell you the races of everybody in a conversation. I know a lot of them. That's a whole thing that happens. I work with this guy, black guy, and it's geez,
they're just setting the scene. It's just painterly. It's just a novelistic detail.
Yeah, what does that have to do with the rest of the story? And it usually turns out I didn't hate him. Is the end of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so very shortly afterwards, I'm on the ambulance, and I was trying to keep my everything kind of close to my vest politically, not this is a 12-hour shift, so I didn't want to make anybody in the ambulance uncomfortable at the beginning of the shift. But I started talking to the guy. There were 2 people in the ambulance, and things started getting a little political, or I just couldn't help it. And then I think he was saying he was reading Ruth Bader Ginsburg's autobiography, and he's like, it's making me respect Antonin Scalia a little bit more, and that I couldn't resist, so I kind of went in on that a little bit.
Sure.
But he liked what I had to say, and then it ended up with him rolling up his pant leg, and he's got a fucking hammer and sickle tattoo on his calf, this paramedic. And I was like, holy shit. So, in conclusion, basically, that story, like, the fire department is the land of contrast, I guess, was the moral of that story.
Can I say, here's the thing. The fire department should not be using the Punisher as like their model. They are not punishers.
No, they don't punish.
They punish fire.
Right, and that's what drew me to it.
Yeah. I mean, the fire department really does sound like a place where it would be like nice people, but it really is
the people that want to help.
Yeah, but it's people with a hero complex. I want to do this, and I want the respect that goes along with this, and the valor and stuff like that. A lot of times, I think, and I think that's where you run in to the more right wing guys. You know, it's the same thing when you talk to. You can talk to all kinds of different people from the military, and there are some that'll like. Any pushback you give against the troops or something like that or something, they'll be like, you weren't there, you don't know. And then there's other people who want to genuinely engage in a conversation with you about your feelings about the military, and it doesn't hurt their feelings. They
don't give a fuck, yeah. They don't care whether you respect them or not.
And to
or
me,
the military, they don't take it personally.
Right, and to me it seems like that is an ideological line. It's like the people that demand the most respect for these things that they do that are supposed to be selfless, in the end, turn out to be reactionaries or conservatives a lot of time, because they're not doing it to be nice. They're doing it to be heroes. You know, the Punisher firefighter guy is doing it because he knows that when he tells somebody he's a firefighter, they'll be like, wow, you're brave, dude. You're really cool and brave. You punish that fire.
You like put a bullet in that fire's head.
And I always wonder what that means for, like, I always wonder what that kind, like, I hope it doesn't, like, affect the way that they do their work.
It absolutely has to.
I know, because every part of you affects the way that you do your work. But you hope, at least in a way, it's not like, I hope this guy isn't, like, letting his racism get in the way of his work, or his classism get in the way of the things he's doing. But I mean, I don't have any proof that it doesn't. My politics invade every facet of my life, you know, and I know Brett has said, you've said the same sort of thing, where like your politics just seep out of your pores. It's impossible not to live sort of based on those things, and that's what makes me nervous about, like, I think the fire department all in all is a good, like, something we need, but I do worry that, like,
it's in the hands of
the same kind of people that the police are. I just worry that it's in the same hands as the police department.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and there, that's I like I said, I don't have any anecdotal evidence of, like, you know, anybody being not reactionary assholes, but I'm sure there are a lot of folks that just, I mean, I'm just wondering with that sickle and hammer guy, like, how long ago did he get that tattoo? And, like, does he care at all about the guy wearing the other shirt, or is he just, like, accepting it as part of the job type thing, you know?
Yeah.
So, we talked about that other guy. He was like, I mean, I could tell there was kind of a little bit of, there was like a friendly tension between those two dudes. And I talked to the hammer sickle guy, and he told me how he used to be like the shop steward in his union, and he used to like travel around like doing union stuff. And I was like, yo, check out, like, here's the email for our labor committee in DSA, like, maybe you want to get involved. And I don't think I emailed him, and I don't think we ever got him involved. But as to what you said, like, I have a few thoughts, and I'll wrap this up. But like, in my experience, one thing that I found meeting people in my EMT class, and then like at fire department, some like orientation events I went to, that kind of, it shouldn't have surprised me, but like, again, I had this kind of idea in my head about what I was there for. But what I heard from some people is that, or let me say that for me, obviously, like, this had this kind of idealistic view of why I was going to do this, right? That I was leaving tech, and because I wanted to find something fulfilling that meant something. But I guess kind of obviously for most people, that's not why they're going into it. They're doing it because it's a job, and because they think, you know, there's good job security and like good benefits, and there's good pay, and because it's exciting, and like there's respect, and there's people look up to you. But the thing I was going to say kind of surprised me is I heard from people at the fire department, they were like, yeah, I was considering either this or the police or the border patrol. They talked about those like they would have, or there was like, or the military, like those are all kind of things that we're going to go into.
Interchangeable jobs in a way.
Yeah.
I will say
those are like service.
I will say about paramedics, I think they're a different type than the fire department. I mean, first of all, they don't make a ton of money. From my understanding, at least in Columbus, they don't make a ton of money. And like, it seems like something you genuinely do if you want to help people, because I mean, that's really what you're doing. That's the real deal, like driving the ambulance and helping people out. So I do feel like there's a difference between them and firefighters, on top of the fact that they don't get the same respect. They don't have a paramedic flag. Like they don't have a paramedic thin whatever. The fire department took their red line.
Yeah,
They're the Red Cross.
Fire department got it.
But yeah, that's interesting. Everybody we've talked to on this subject has sort of been on the side of like maybe some of these. I mean, it seems like it is a job for kind of reactionary people, but it shouldn't be, and it would be nice if it wasn't, but that's who the government hires. That's like, we don't have control over it,
Yeah, well, and I think also there's something that happens to you when you do it. And I think this kind of speaks to, y'all were talking about, like, well, why can't these people have more empathy for the people they work with? And this is something that I've been kind of learning as I went through this course and observed people, and it makes me uncomfortable, but I also kind of understand it in a way too. And it's when you're doing this stuff, and I'm speaking, I guess, from the perspective of an EMT or a paramedic, in a city like San Francisco especially, I think part of what comes across, or really, is a lack of empathy. It's a self-defense mechanism on that person's part, because if you allowed yourself to be empathetic all the time, fully in the way that we would want that person to be, it would kind of destroy you, because you are dealing with not just trauma, medical trauma, and seeing dying and injury and severe, terrible things, wounds and suffering, but just the kind of low-grade suffering of capitalism, and you're dealing with homeless people and that kind of long-term slow-motion trauma every day as part of your job. I mean, like, a very common thing is just picking up intoxicated, or overdosed, unhoused people on the street and transporting them to the hospital. And I think a lot of these, providers, a lot of these EMTs or paramedics, they'll see the same people over and over. People who are addicted or, unhoused and dealing with all kinds of things. And so they develop, it's kind of like this gallows humor, or just this kind of hard skin about it. And it seems really shitty. Like, I definitely had ride-alongs with different people where I saw some people being much more, they felt more professional and more compassionate, and other people that seemed like kind of off-putting to me. And in our class, we really get told, you need to be a patient advocate. You really need to have empathy, and it's important. But you can see how if you did this, day in, day out for years, how you would you start to detach from it, because it'd be really hard to see this kind of stuff. It was hard for me just like doing it for a couple of shifts. So I think that's kind of a perspective that being a little closer to it has helped me develop.
You're right. No, I absolutely agree with you, because there's people I know that are nurses and that are the same way. That, I mean, you're seeing folks at like a very low time in their life, and this is something that costs a ton of money, and a lot of people aren't prepared for this. And so you're dealing with these really sad, gross, disgusting situations that have been wrought by our economic system, but feel very personal. Like, these fucking people are just never going to get it together. These people are just like, these people are fucking everyone else over, or, the world is an ugly place when you're dealing with, firsthand dealing with folks that are in a lot of trauma,
We're also like all human, like
Right.
everybody's a human, and they have feelings, and like, if you see sort of the same thing happen to the same person over and over again, and like, I do this too. I'm not like a perfect person, but I try to be as understanding as I can. But even in my personal life, if I see the same thing happen to a person over and over again, sometimes I'm less than empathetic about it. Sometimes I'm like, you're never going to get better. You're just a fuck up. You know what I mean? And I don't want to be that type of a person. I don't that's not something I want to be, but that's how my brain, I guess that's how my brain works. It's something I've tried to really beat out of myself, in the past, 5 or 6 years, but it's just really hard to when you're dealing with other people, they all do their lives differently. And if they're not, if it comes out in a negative way, if the results of doing their life differently than you comes out in a negative way, sometimes you just feel like, oh my God, if this person would just do this, they would be better. And I'm tired of this, you know? But
for sure,
it's not the right way to be, for sure. But you would have to, I would imagine, and something Brett just said was something we used to say a lot about at they used to always have to remind us at the cable company, because my job was to fix broken cable. And I would always be like, God damn, man, everything's broken. This system is completely destroyed and everything's broken. But that was because I only saw broken cable. I never went to somebody's house whose stuff was working. The thousands of people, the tens of thousands of people whose stuff was working, I didn't have to go to their place. So I just kind of assumed in my mind it was everybody's cable's broken. Every single person. I talk to 9 people a day, and you know what? All of their cable is broken. Right. You know what I mean? And that's probably you'll often hear stories of people who work for the department, for the State Department that hands out food stamps and stuff like that. And you'll often hear stories from those people about, oh, I know people scam it and shit like that. And it's that's just,
Right, you found the couple.
Yeah, you're
heard
going
about 1 or 2 people.
Yeah, it's going to happen every once in a while, and you're seeing it, and you think it's widespread, and it's not. And it's just, we have a real bad habit of generalizing, and also just, again, saying, I wish this person would do this the way that I do it, and then they would be okay.
Yeah, should all over them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much for calling in, Young Chomsky. Hopefully more people call in about this. It is interesting to think about.
Yeah, there's a lot to say. Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for taking my call and playing the tunes. And I will see you in Oakland.
We'll be there. Right. It's gonna be a big show.
Yeah.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
All right, yeah. The firefighter questions are crazy. It is something that I like. I'm genuinely curious of what the listeners think. I'm genuinely curious of what even people who would disagree with us think. I only know one firefighter, and he is a fascist. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's I don't know him well enough, and all I have in my mind is, like I said, sometimes the way you talk to troops. People who are in the military. I know guys that'll just scream at me the second I say, well, I don't support this. And then I know guys that are really, tell me why. And want to have a conversation with me. So.
For sure. All right, let's see who's on the phone here next. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to?
Well, hello.
Hello.
Hello. You there?
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear us?
What's up, man?
Hey. Oh, hey guys, it's Terry, the firefighter. I couldn't have asked for a better setup. Thanks
Are you
for that
really a
last caller.
firefighter, Terry?
Yeah. Not quite that kind. I'm a wildland firefighter.
A wild man? Wait, a what?
Like a wild man, like he goes out there naked and he woo! No, he's a wildland.
Oh, wow.
He goes out there naked with a lampshade on his head and he fights the fire. He's a wild man firefighter.
And I rake, and we rake the forest.
Yeah. So
he just turns on a hose and grabs onto it and lets it just fly around while he hangs on.
Now I want us to make a TV show called Wild Man Firefighter. Just about these wild party
It's called
guys.
Emergency. It came out in the 80s.
So, are you offended by the things that people are saying and we've been saying?
No. So I spent, not last summer, but the one before, working in, it was mostly the Great Basin with the Forest Service and with a lot of the inmate crews, so they were kind of in the news lately.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to talk about. I don't know. There was like some funny. There's this guy on the crew, on the inmate crew, that was there for fraud. One guy, and everyone else was there for in jail for Dewey's or possession.
Oh, Jesus. So it's like they're paying these guys $2 or whatever an hour, and they're like dudes that are just there for a DUI. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, we were making. I mean, you know, part of the appeal of that job is like we were making great money, and like they were there, like they were happy to be outside.
Sure. But they wouldn't have
there
chosen
was this one point
fighting fighters for $2 a day.
Yeah, there was this one point where we requested them to a fire. My supervisor was in charge, and he knew they needed to stay on a fire to stay out of jail. So he would always call them first, and they always kept them on a fire for the whole summer, because they always talked about hating going back or having it was hard to get out, but if they could stay on a fire, they got to stay out of jail.
Yeah.
So how long would that? How long was that? How long would that last?
They would go out for up to 2 weeks, and then they could go back. They had like a base camp, like kind of actually near the town that I was staying at.
Okay.
For like up to like 2 or 3 months.
And how was the base camp? What was the situation there?
I mean, I didn't, you know, we didn't go there. There were 2 COs with them. We mostly hung out with the COs.
Okay. The uncool guys.
You know, yeah, you know, they were cops.
Yeah. So how do you feel about, like, because, I mean, most of the callers have said, you know, that there's like a reactionary sort of vibe in the fire department, and you know, I've said things because the people that I know, the only person I know that's a firefighter has that kind of politics too. And what has been your experience with like working with people in that field?
So I think the municipal departments are a little fashy. I got to agree. You know, there's definitely that type that you've called out.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's like all these private ambulance services, and those guys are mostly like drivers, you know, and they're just like really working class.
Yeah, they're making like what?
And
I
so
think
that's
here they're making
when
like
you're talking about
$12 an hour here in Columbus. Yeah.
So sometimes their firefighters are driving the ambulance or whatever, but yeah, definitely like the private ambulance companies are like way more working class. The departments, the firefighters, they're like more of a mixed bag. You're gonna run into a lot of guys who, maybe wish they were cops or
What made you do?
Think they could be cops.
What made you do it? Like, just out of curiosity.
Someone I knew had gone out and done several seasons. There's kind of like this draw for a whole bunch of college kids or young people go out. It's like a bunch of money.
Yeah.
So
sounds like that,
you know,
crab
except any
fishing.
Street Fighters.
It sounds
yeah,
like
if
that
you want to
crab
work
fishing
really
gimmick.
hard for like 3 or 4 months and make $30,000 or $40,000, you know, definitely you can apply now.
Brett's getting all excited over here. Like, that's 3 months off the radio?
Yeah.
$30,000?
It's a good deal.
Yeah.
Well,
you also can't smoke weed. That's the big catch now.
Well, how do they know?
But
There's a
you're
bunch
in
of smoke.
Colorado.
What do they know? There's a bunch of
Or
smoke
places
around
like
anyway. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I appreciate you calling. We're trying to tear through the rest of these
Thanks for
callers.
taking the
So
call.
thank you for calling in, buddy.
And have a good night, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Firefighters, baby. We got firefighter listeners. Oh, we got firefighter listeners. That's cool. Let's get
it's good to know.
46 minutes person. I almost said gentleman, but it might not be a gentleman.
Could be non-binary.
Could 1 be non-binary, 2 be a woman, or 3 be a scoundrel?
It's true.
You never know. Hey, you're on Street Fight. Who's this?
Is this me?
This is you.
Good gravy.
Are you a scoundrel? That's the question.
Oh, goodness, yes.
Okay. What's going on? What's your name?
Hey, this is Rob in beautiful Los Angeles, California.
No, we'll be seeing you soon.
Oh, you sure will. I actually sent you guys a direct message on Instagram about pictures, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay. Well, we'll be also having
Yeah.
another Rob with us while we're there. Rob Wisman will be up there talking with us at some point. Maybe other people if I get the guts up to ask them. So, what's going on tonight, Rob?
I've actually been wanting to call you guys for a couple weeks. Speaking of fires and firefighters, I was up at the campfire trying to help out a few weeks back, and I wanted to talk to you about anarchism in action. I was talking to my parents and said I wanted to go up there and do some volunteer work. I had a few days off, and like, oh, you know, they make you fill out all these forms for like volunteering for these places. And I'm like, you know, I'm just going to go up. I know a bunch of people there. I'll just go up and take up with some local anarchists. And, you know, wouldn't you know if there was a... Yeah.
I mean,
well,
my
you know,
dad
they know.
My dad loves that I'm a public anarchist. He just thinks it's the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah, I know. My mom's like, they make you fill out this 3-page form, and, like, you know, you better get on it. Like, it's cool. I'll go up to the anarchist bookstore there. Hello, Blackbird. Like, I'll ask the person that I went to high school with, like, and yeah, there was a Walmart parking lot that just sort of ended up being this de facto evacuee camp.
Oh, that's hell.
There was, yeah, it was kind of crazy. But by the time I got there, it was all like, it was kind of in this, I don't want to say disarray, but, you know, there was all these people just dropping off a bunch of crap.
Oh, of course.
You know, and it's like, all right, we're trying to get winter boots, coats, jeans, and people are like, you don't need bathing suits and high heels? Like, no.
Bathing suits? Somebody brought a bathing suit. Y'all can go swimming. That'd be nice.
No, we got tons of bathing suits, and I think it was just people were going like, oh, I got this box I'm going to take to Goodwill. Here, you can have it. And it's like, did you even sort through this? Like,
there is a certain type of charity. There's like a kind of charity that's like, I'll just give them everything I don't like or need.
Oh, no, it was totally that. And at a certain point, it's just, you realize it's not really for the people you're giving it to, it's for the people that are giving.
Yeah.
Right. They just need a reason to, like, say they feel great.
Yeah, like, you know, we had one person go, you know, I drove a long way to drive this off, and we just kind of went, all right, fine, just drop it here, it's fine, go.
I drove along, drops off a printer.
Yeah, right? Like, you know, it's like, man, I really don't care how long you drove these polo shirts. Like, we really don't need them, but okay. But so this whole thing, it was very, you know, it was leaderless, it was pretty amorphous. There was one guy who sort of started it, and he was trying to sort of get things organized, but it really just sort of ran on its own. I showed up and said, hey, where do you need hands? And they said, well, you can start here, and then, you know, somebody else was, I went to the drop-off and sorting area, and this guy looked real stressed, and I'm like, hey, you need some help? And like, yeah, sure, let's do this thing. And so we just sort of ended up, you know, like we're trying to sort out, like, all right, well, we need men's jeans, and here, bring these over here. So it just ended up being this whole huge collective of people trying to work towards this common goal. And the cool thing was, you know, you had like dudes who, you know, up in Northern California, it's pretty rural, especially around there. So it's like, you know, there's dudes in like Ducks Unlimited hats and like camo shit. And, you know, here's me like a full on like, you know, anarchist commie dude, like working together. And I was really inspired by just how like absolutely normie this all was.
How bad did you want to like keep tapping them on the shoulder and saying like, this is kind of like anarchism, isn't it? This is like a little bit like, does this remind you of
like
communism a little bit?
And it was funny because like, you know, there was a guy who was, I mean, I think he was like a general contractor and like, you know, a camo hat or, you know, like a lot of Carhartts and stuff. And I was just like, yeah, you know, I'm just glad to help out some anarchism in action. He's like, oh, I don't think it's, and I'm just sort of like, oh, all right, well, I don't know, never mind. Anyways.
Well, that doesn't work. They always say that doesn't work. That's what my dad always says to me. Every
yeah,
time I
he was
talk
like,
to
well,
him.
it wasn't.
Every
Yeah,
time I
like,
talk
oh,
to
it
my
wasn't that
dad, he
chaotic.
says,
And I'm like,
yeah, it wasn't that chaotic. Well, that's not what I was saying, you asshole.
yeah, no, that was what my guy said, and it was just sort of like, well, I mean, there wasn't really any leaders, and we were all working towards a common goal. But anyways, bye.
Well, that's great to hear. That kind of stuff always makes me feel really good.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like whenever people are talking about anarchism, like, they always get the image of, like, a bunch of kids in black masks. So it's like, that's kind of my end goal for all that, or what I think would be the end goal is, like, all right, well, here's, like, contractors and all these people just people from the community being like, all right, well, we need to go do this. Like,
yeah, the work
where
has
I was,
to get done.
Yeah, I mean, it was an absolute imperative, because where I was it sort of ended up being like this dregs of, these areas. Because, like, you look up and you see Paradise, and, like, that's, it's about 25,000, 30,000 people. But, in Skip Magalia, Sterling City, Yankee Hill, Berry Creek, like, all these tiny little towns that pretty much only exist on a map. And you get all these people out there. Sorry about the jet, if you can hear that. You get all these people out there who, I mean, they live up there for a reason. And I saw a lot of 1,000-yard stares and people who are just not really good at dealing with society. And it's like, that's why they live up in the hills.
Sure.
So, and that was kind of the people who ended up in that camp, and they're just sort of like, they didn't really know what to do. And, people like, oh, I need some jeans from my husband. He's a welder. He needs to go back to work. And it's like, guys, your house burned down like 3 days ago. Like, is there... He's got to go back to work. It's like,
right.
Yeah, sorry, that's how it is.
Yeah, that does suck. Like, your
so,
whole
like,
house can burn down, and there's somebody saying, when are you going to be back at work? When do you think you're going to be able to make it back in here? You don't have that many sick days. When are you going to have to cancel your vacation this year?
Yeah, I'm afraid this is going to count against you.
Yeah, and I mean, that was the crowd I was interacting with, and it was, like, tragic, because it's like, man, these are, like, it kind of reminded me, like, man, I kind of grew up in the holler. Like, my childhood home burned down up there, and it's like my parents moved out in 2000 because they were like, yeah, this place is a fire trap, and lo and behold, this year, like, the whole town just got torched.
Yeah.
God damn.
So,
well,
yeah, it's been a trip.
Yeah, that is scary. It's good to hear that there's good things arising out of it, though. I mean, that's
people get together and do the right thing. They didn't automatically turn it into a civil war or anything.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there's folks up there like Cesar Sanchez, Molly, like, those folks are doing amazing work. Safe Space up in Chico. I mean, I know they're getting a lot of heat this year because there's just so many people who have been displaced, and the existing community's really pushing back. Like, there's a lot of shitheads up there too. So those folks really need a lot of help.
Well, thanks for the update, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for taking my call.
Not a problem. We gotta get the rest of these calls and then get the hell out of here.
Yeah, get them in, boys.
You ready to do this?
Yeah, I'm ready, man. We got 3 left.
3 more to go.
We got 3 of you. I think
we
we can get you. Every week we get them all, baby.
Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to?
You're talking to Shit Pro.
What's up, Shit Pro?
Shit Pro. Hell yeah.
How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm tired. I'm sorry you guys have so many calls left.
2. It's 2 after you, so I think we're gonna
doing
live.
fine. Yeah.
We're feeling good. We're feeling okay. How you doing? Anybody try to sell you anything lately?
No, but I did have a small business coworker tyrant story.
Cool. Go for it.
Okay, so a few weeks ago, I was minding my own business at work, just doing my thing, and on the lot at work.
Shit, Pro, your phone.
You're
the
breaking
classic Shit Pro phone breaking up.
Oh, God.
Classic shit, Pro. We got you now.
Hello?
Yeah, you're here. You're here. You're here.
Oh, well, anyway,
Goddamn
I yawn a lot in the morning. And I had a coworker come up to me, like, very upset, saying, like, please stop yawning. You can't yawn.
What?
That's not. I mean, that's not something they can
You're
put
not
in a
allowed to
rule
do that
book.
at work?
Was he being a smart aleck because you're always yawning, or
No, he was being serious. Like, you cannot. It is not okay for you to yawn. And he's weird, and I don't like him. So I just said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I won't yawn anymore." I just went about my day.
How did you?
So then last Thursday.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Last Thursday, it's a bunch of overtime this month, so work begins at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it usually begins at 8 o'clock. And I didn't have my coffee that day, and I yawn again, and he comes over to me and said, like, we already had this conversation before. You cannot yawn. And I was just like, okay, usually I ignore this kind of stuff, but I'm not going to have you telling me that I can't yawn. You're not my boss. I can't deal with this morning.
Do they have some sort of weird hex on themselves where if they if they yawn, then they like lose a bet against the devil or something?
No, he's just a really he's a quality control guy, so he's just really he's a tight ass, and and for some reason when I yawn, he thinks that's unprofessional, or I'm not allowed to.
Or not you. This goes back to like you have to be happy to be at work.
Yeah.
Like,
no yawning.
You need to be here. Well, you need to have a good breakfast. You need to sleep for 8 hours, and you need to be happy to be here and not yawn.
Yes, but he literally is my coworker. He's not above.
What? Oh my God!
The same level I am.
I would fight this person in a parking lot. Like I would just yawn all day in that person's face. What can he do? Can he do anything?
No, he can't do it. I mean, I guess he can, complain about me to the boss because I don't know, he's a suck up or whatever. So he talks to the boss or our manager a lot, but I don't think the manager likes him that much either. So
yeah. Doesn't sound like a likable person.
It's just nuts that there are people out there that like that. Like, what am I supposed to do? I can't yawn.
Yeah, against that's.
It sets poor. Is he just worried about yawning? Did he have like his wisdom teeth removed and so he can't yawn real hard?
I don't know. He's a really odd guy. He's like in his 50s, has been married for a long time. He never had kids, and there's a lot of young people at my work, and you can tell he just does not know how to deal with young people.
Just hates young people.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Just thinks they're lazy because they're lazy, right? That kind of shit.
He's disrespectful to my coworkers all the time. Always talking to them in a very condescending voice, and it's just usually I don't say anything, no one says anything, but at a certain point, and it's just like he's talking to grown people like they're little children, and it's so aggravating.
Yeah. We got these coworkers. We got to watch about these coworkers too. You're getting attacked from every side.
Shit Pro got the worst coworkers, man. They're trying to sell him stuff. They ain't letting him yawn. It's tough out there. Are we gonna see you at the Oakland show?
You are definitely going to see me at the Oakland show, and you are definitely going to have to announce after doing the show in LA and doing the show in the Bay which part of California you prefer.
Okay.
That is a big deal.
Can I ask it?
So, we need a verdict.
We also
Bay or LA.
We also need to meet with you the night before about a really cool business opportunity that we have lined up.
Oh, okay.
Well, we just want to try out a pitch on you.
We just want to try out a pitch for this new business opportunity we're involved with. We actually call that getting shit-prolled now. Like, people in the Facebook group will be like, dang, sounds like you got shit-prolled whenever they get hit with an MLM scheme.
Yeah. Well, I've heard about that, and I'm quite proud.
It's the best.
That I was able to get that going.
You're a nice guy.
It is an actual. That should be in one of the Street Fight stories. Thing is the shit-prol getting shit-prolled story, because that is like, of the calls that we take on the show, we've taken some crazy calls, and I love them. But that call will always make me laugh. Like we like shorten it up real quick for the listeners. Basically, a guy told shit-prol to meet him at a store. He was going to try out a pitch for a new kind of insurance for him. And as he was trying out the pitch, he was having him fill out the papers. And then he was like, well, all you got to do now is just like give me the money and we're all set. And he was trying to get the money out of you. I love that. Do you talk to him anymore?
I mean, to be honest, he still occasionally, like Snapchats or something that just don't open them up. So, I have a few months worth of Snapchat from them that I just have never opened up.
Well, hey, buddy, thanks for calling in. We're going to get these last two callers out of here.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good night. I love that guy.
Yeah,
his phone.
He's getting into something.
He needs to buy one of those TV antennas for his phone. Really get a sat phone where he's living. I'm worried about my phone service when we're in Oakland. You're on Street Fight. What's up?
Oh, hey guys. How you doing?
We're great. We're doing good. We're almost off work.
Yeah, about to get off.
Yeah, don't want to keep you guys up too late. I'm also in Columbus, so we're on the East Coast time zone here right now. So.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We're big boys. I get to sleep till 2 tomorrow. What's going on tonight?
Oh, well, see, I'm part of the bourgeoisie because I graduated from Ohio State today. So.
Well, I graduated from Ohio State, too. I am also a part of the bourgeoisie now, but I did.
Yeah. But I'm one of the PhD students that, like, you said before on, like, your call-in shows that you don't understand why PhD students listen to you guys and stuff, but I just love that shit, so.
It is wild to just think about somebody who, like, is a special, I don't know, like, PhDs are doctors, and we think of them as smart, and they listen to me and Brett, just a guy with a bachelor's degree and another guy that's, like, just smart dude, really. Yeah. Just
I have a
street
degree
smart.
from the School of Hard Knocks.
Hey, you're a Reynoldsburg High School graduate.
That's
buddy.
true.
Don't you let them take that away from you. You were a purple pirate or whatever they were.
Yeah, the Pirates. The Raiders. The Raiders. That's what it is.
Just stealing a name. Like,
yeah.
Come on. The Raiders. So what's going on tonight?
The Raiders are the best team.
How you feeling tonight? You partying?
Oh, well, yeah, I've been partying, and then right now I just have old Star Wars movies on mute on TNT, as hot couch guys do. So, so we're all doing good over here, but I called in because you guys were talking about paramedics and firefighters and, like, how there's different, like, sides to every story. And, like, basically working in the lab I work in, we have a bunch of engineers who pretty much I would say are basically chuds in my view, because they always tell me that, like, the stuff that we're working on is going to be used in bombs eventually anyway. Even though what we're working on is, like, the FAA model to make sure, like, the blades that come off of a Southwest engine don't, like, puncture the fuselage and you die on a flight.
Right.
Like, that's what our research is through. But they have, like, friends who work at Raytheon and stuff like that. Whenever I try and have conversations with them, it's always like, well, if you don't do it, somebody's going to do it.
No.
And, like, that's just their view of shit. And it just makes me mad all the time. And I always, like, try and point out the other side of a view. And they're like, well, I don't think most engineers think that way. I'm like, what are you talking about, man?
It seems like to get to engineer, you have to. I mean, I know that there's a lot of them that are like the logic dudes that are like just everything. Because I've said this before, but I took a course called Labor and Society. It was a sociology of labor course, and it's a requirement for the business school. And there's always also some like engineer type people in there, and their politics were, I mean, their opinions were really, really wild to me. Like some of them were just like kind of this, I don't know, very inhuman feelings, like very much like we're gonna take all of the things that make humans unique, and we're gonna not think about those things because like, you can generalize the behavior of a group of people, but it's kind of chaotic, and there's like, we're all so different. We're all like, we have different motivations and different things that run us. But I think a lot of times when people get through like the hard science STEM, a lot of times I think that they don't spend enough time like sort of beating that into you in school that like, look, because like people that work in logistics and stuff. I just remember like this course was a lot of people that were going to be doing logistics, right? Which is kind of a STEM sort of thing. It's in the business school,
right?
And
it takes all the humanity out of it. It's just numbers. That's what it is.
Yeah, and they think that, I mean, and they're told that, to be fair, too. It's like probably when you go to class, do they say that? Like, well, humans are hard to understand, but numbers are easy to understand. And it's like kind of beat into you. Because I did sociology, and I was always sort of shocked with like the STEM people and the business school people that came over to take sociology courses with us, because you always have to take a few. I was always very shocked at their opinions, because it oftentimes sounded like really cold and really heartless.
No, I agree with that 100%. And like, to further your point about it just being like STEM, like your first 4 years, you take some sociology classes or like classes in the arts, but it doesn't matter until like you only take an engineering ethics class the last semester that you're there. Like, so like that's the last time that they're actually going to even talk about humanity to you, is like at the very tail end of what they've already beat into you before then, which is just like it's set laws, it's set structure, like that's what you have to do for STEM stuff, but you lose like all the humanity when you don't actually like transfer it to like your actual work. And the thing, like I saw in my dissertation, you have like all these people sitting on your board, and they're all from your department, and then the grad school like sends over one representative, which is always from the humanities. And like basically I presented for an hour, and then an hour after that they just ask questions about your research and everything. And she was the last person to ask a question. And like after we had talked for 2 hours about everything else, and she's a linguistics teacher, so she asked like, so you do all this in the lab, how does this like relate to everybody at large? Like how does this relate to humanity as a whole? So it was like a whole, it was the first question that actually brought any perspective to the entire conversation. And so that's kind of what you need, is like people in the arts, because I feel like STEM is almost a fast track to like not realizing what you're learning, who you're learning from, and like relating that to other people. So,
or not, like, yeah, they're totally not questioning like where you're getting knowledge and stuff like that, because it's like, you can teach it in such a way that like it doesn't, like, these are laws, these are laws that don't change. So like you can just teach it, be like, well, we do this because we do this, that's why. But then like when it comes to the outside world, it's like you're saying, like, I don't want to make something that I don't want to make bombs for a living. Like, I don't want to make something that people are going to use for bombs for a living. I don't want that. But that's not how, I mean, that's how like Silicon Valley gets the way it is. You know, that's what I think. Like, I think that like they learn STEM, they don't learn a lot of how other people think, and like it totally bears out when you start talking to people who have dropped out of tech. You know, like we had young Chomsky calling today. He just dropped out of tech. He doesn't work in tech anymore because he just felt like it was just sort of soulless and just creating capital for venture capitalists. And that's got to be tough because, you know, you work your ass off to get somewhere. And when you get there, if you find out once you get there that it's you know, not what you thought it was going to be when you started, I sympathize with that.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Well, thank you for calling in. We got to get this last person before we're at 3 hours.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Have
All
a
right,
great
take care.
night.
Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
Peace.
Yeah, that stuff's interesting as hell. I could talk about that all night. Like, that's why I went to sociology. But I didn't get a lot of STEM teaching, though. I'm dumb when it comes to all that stuff.
Right.
So that's probably not great either. I wish there was a way to make it like make a more well-rounded graduate, you know,
Right.
from college. Like, you get out and like you understand people and like engineering,
Right. Numbers, business, all that shit.
psychology,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, but it's just, you know, it costs so much money. You're not encouraged to really go out of your comfort zone. You're encouraged to do it as fast as you can with the least amount of classes. So.
Right. All right, let's see who's there on the phone. Our last caller. Thanks for calling in. Who are we talking to?
Hey, this is Jay from Indiana. How are y'all doing?
Great. How are you, Jay?
Doing okay. Like, sitting here drinking a 40, about to start a new job tomorrow, or a new position at a job tomorrow, so...
Good way to get
Chilling.
ready for that.
Yeah, I realize it doesn't sound like it makes much sense, but, you know, I promise it works.
When do you work?
Oh, I start at 9, so...
I love our listeners so much. He's in Indiana, so it's the
Yeah,
same
I mean,
time there
yeah.
it is here. He's drinking a 40 and calling a radio show.
Well, I've only drank 140, so, you know, we're good.
Oh, only one. That's not a big deal, you know. I know a lot of people
Yeah,
that
no,
can... I know a lot of people that can just drink 140, but I will say that there are times where 140 will still get you. My wife got real hungover last week and real trashed off 1.5 of those rosé, like cans of rosé and bubble water.
Yeah.
She was... Oh, hell, no, but, like,
that'll
that'll... Those things will sneak up on you. Like, I used to drink a lot of Lime-A-Ritas, and whew.
Oh, yeah, I did too.
Cheap, $1 for those. Not really into the craft beer scene, are you, Jay?
No, I am not. I drink hams usually, so I'm a hams person myself.
Brett, you do hams ever?
Hams isn't bad. Where did I have that at?
Probably one
I
of the
wanna
bars
say
we
Well, they got it at Kroger's.
I don't think we have it in Columbus.
I don't think I've ever seen
Oh.
hams in Columbus.
I
We
think
have
I had,
burger.
I think I had it in Wisconsin.
Yeah, because, I mean, it had to be
Well,
on the
I think
show.
that's where they make it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait, was
Yeah.
it Minnesota? There it is.
There you go.
It's Minnesota.
Hams. Brett's a hams
Ooh.
guy.
I like burger better, but
So, what's up? What's going on tonight?
Well, I just wanted to call to say, so tomorrow, or I guess today, oh God, December 17th is International Day to End Violence Against Sex Workers, which, like, all the sex workers I know are, like, the dopest fucking comrades in the world.
Yeah.
And, like, the last year has been fucking really tough for folks that do that job. So, like, just, like, solidarity to all the sex worker comrades out there, because they're pretty much the best folks. And I was wondering if I could plug, like, a few things that are stuff that's, like, direct mutual aid to sex workers.
Absolutely. That's perfect. Yeah, go for it.
Sounds great.
Good way to end the show.
Fuck
Doing
yeah.
something good.
Yeah, for once.
Yeah. So the first one is SWOP, SWOP behind bars. They got a web presence. All Sex Workers Go to Heaven is another one. And the one that I'm, like, embarrassedly maybe not going to pronounce right is Lysistrata, mccf.org, which is describes itself as an online-based sex worker activist cooperative and emergency fund to support marginalized workers in crisis. So just fucking shout out to all the sex worker comrades out there, I guess.
Hell yeah. Yeah, we should do more stuff. I mean, we had Kitty Stryker on to talk about it. I think we're going to do a show soon when we're in LA with that focuses on some of the sex worker stuff, and I'm insanely nervous about it because they're probably going to try and make me talk about my penis. So.
Oh, you're peeing?
My wiener.
Oh no!
I know.
No, that's the worst.
Don't listen.
Not your peeing. I don't know about that, but like I wouldn't want to do that either.
It makes me nervous. Brett's like, hell yeah! I finally get to talk about sex.
Yeah, I don't
on
ever
a
really
microphone.
get to do that, but I have some
Finally
good
get to post your hog.
gross jokes to share.
Yeah, he's gonna go for it. Well, hey, for real, thanks for calling. That is a great way to end the show, and solidarity to sex workers too.
Absolutely.
Damn right. Y'all have a good night.
You too. All right. Thanks for listening to Street Fight Radio. That's the show. If you want to find more, we got plenty of bonus content over on Patreon, patreon.com/StreetFightRadio. The central hub to find everything we do is StreetFightRadio.com. All the links and everything else you need. And that is the show. I'm Brett. He was Brian. Peace. Oh, jeez. How do I turn this off?